Welcome to your City Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, October 27th, 2020. Please turn off or silence all cell phones during the meeting. Meetings are televised every day on Channel 2 at 7 p.m. and midnight and available for viewing on YouTube and Facebook Live. The Leavenworth City Commission meeting will be open to the public with limited seating capacity. To reserve a seat, email cwilliamson@firstcity.org no later than 4 p.m. on October 27th. Seats will be available on a first-come, first-served basis. To mitigate the spread of COVID-19, face coverings and social distancing are required to attend the meeting in accordance with Kansas Open Meetings Act. The meeting can be viewed on Channel 2 and via Facebook Live. The public is encouraged to continue to view the meeting via Facebook Live or Channel 2 and to submit public comments to be read during the public comments portion of the meeting and questions on agenda items to be read during discussion on that topic. Submit your comments or questions to cwilliamson@firstcity.org no later than 6 p.m. on October 27th. Would people please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by silent meditation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. So, old business, consideration of previous meeting minutes. Are there any questions or comments from fellow commissioners on our minutes from our October 13th, 2020 regular meeting? I'll entertain a motion then.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the minutes from the October 13th, 2020 regular meeting as presented.
Commissioner Leonhard, I second.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve our minutes from October 13th, 2020 regular meeting. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Leonhard.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0, motion carries. So we've approved our minutes from our October 13th, 2020 regular meeting. Thank you. Second consideration ordinances. Second consideration ordinance 8147, special use permit 220 Spruce Child Care Center.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, there have been no changes since first consideration on October 13th. Once again, this is a special use permit to allow a daycare to operate at 220 Spruce Street in the city of Leavenworth.
Any questions or comments for the city manager? If not, we have a roll call vote. And so we're going to begin voting with Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0. So we've adopted Ordinance 8147. Next is second consideration ordinance 8148, rezoning 619 South 4th Street from Office Business District to General Business District.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, once again, there have been no changes since this was on first consideration at the October 13th City Commission meeting. Rezoning 619 South 4th Street from Office Business District to General Business District.
Any questions from commissioners for the city manager? This requires a roll call vote. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Leonhard.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote ayes. The ayes have it, 5-0, so we've adopted Ordinance 8148. Next, second consideration ordinance 8149, vacate 6th Street from Metropolitan Avenue to Cheyenne Street.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, again, there have been no changes since this was on first consideration at the October 13th meeting. I do want to note that item 4, item 5, and item 6 are all related. These all have to do with the development project currently going on at about 615 Metropolitan, the old Commander's Inn. They all deal with 6th Street, what was formerly 6th Street that has been removed. So we are tonight going to vacate, final vacation of that street, and then look at some easement agreements and acceptance of use, private property for public use. So the first item of vacating 6th Street is before you for second consideration, and there have been no changes since first reading.
Any questions or comments for the city manager from my fellow commissioners on this agenda item? This requires a roll call vote, and we are going to begin voting with Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote ayes. The ayes have it, 5-0, so we've adopted Ordinance 8149. New business, public comment, items not listed on the agenda or receipt of petitions. Is there anybody in the audience who has any new business or for the city commission at this time? And I don't think there were any emails received by Ms. Williamson. Okay, thank you. Under general items, the first one is consider utility easement agreement, Fort Gate Marketplace.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, as I just mentioned on the last item, this item is related to the vacation of 6th Street, dealing with the redevelopment project at 615 Metropolitan. 6th Street has now been vacated by your previous action, and this is a utility easement agreement between the city and the developer. With the removal of 6th Street, there still is a need for some easements for utilities, and that agreement is before you for your consideration tonight.
Any questions or comments for the city manager on this particular agenda item? I'll entertain a motion then.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the general utility easement agreement with the Fort Gate Properties LLC as presented.
Commissioner Leonhard, I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on this particular agenda item. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Leonhard.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson? Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0. The motion carries. So we've approved the general utility easement agreement with Fort Gate Properties LLC as presented. Next is Fort Gate Marketplace acceptance of land for public use.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, I'm going to turn this item over to Julie Hurley, the Director of Planning and Community Development, and again, it is the final item that is related to the previous two.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commission. As City Manager Kramer indicated, this plat is part of the Fort Gate Marketplace development at 615 Metropolitan. This is the first final plat for the development. It includes 2 lots and 1 tract, approximately 2 acres. And it does include the dedication of some land for public utility easements, which is why it is before you tonight. The tract that's included in here is the location of the Armed Forces Bank ATM that's been put in, and then 2 other lots. This accounts for about half of the entire development. The remaining final plats will be before you at a later date if those include any public utilities on them as well. So if you have any questions, I can answer those for you now.
Any questions or comments for Ms. Hurley on this particular agenda item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the dedication of land for public purposes as part of the final plat of the Fort Gate Marketplace.
Can I have a second?
Second, Bowder.
Okay, motion and a second on this particular agenda item. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Bowder.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonhard.
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0. Motion carries. So we've accepted the dedication of land for public purposes as part of the final plat. Next is request to name city-owned property.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, I'll start on this item and then turn it over to our Parks and Recreation Director, Steve Grant. In 1998, the City Commission established a resolution for the policy of renaming or naming city-owned properties. One of the ways that methods where that comes to the City Commission is a nomination goes to a city advisory committee and or the city manager. Some written background information shall be attached, and essentially it's submitted to the City Commission for their consideration. In this case, the nomination before you tonight, which I'll let Mr. Grant get into, came from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to myself and then placed on the agenda for your consideration. So I'm going to turn it over to Steve Grant, and we do also have a member of the Parks Board here tonight to speak on the item. Steve?
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Good to be here with you tonight. For over the last decade, Frank Mazetas served as a dedicated member of our Parks and Community Activities Advisory Board. Frank rarely missed a meeting, and he could be seen at all of our parks and our park events out there, helping out to do whatever he can. When Frank wasn't at a meeting or at one of our events, it was because he was paying attention to his love, his dedication, and his major contribution to the city of Leavenworth, and that is serving the Leavenworth soccer community. Frank served the Leavenworth soccer community for over 40 years as a coach, a mentor, an instructor. He, after Frank's passing, the Parks Community Activities Advisory Board discussed how they could pay tribute to Frank's dedication and his contributions to the citizens of Leavenworth in the areas of soccer. During their discussions, they voted unanimously to nominate naming the city-owned soccer game complex located at 14th and New Lawrence Road, which is just west of Warren Middle School there, and to tribute for Frank's contributions to the city of Leavenworth in the area of soccer for over 4 years. They voted unanimously to nominate naming that Frank Mazetas Soccer Complex. In your policy report, you'll see I have Dave Davis listed being there. Dave came up sick today and was unable to make it. So Park Board member Shelley Cannon was kind enough to fill in at the last minute. So I really appreciate that. And with that, it is the Park Board nomination. I'll invite Shelley to come up and open it up to all of you for discussion and any questions or anything you might have regarding the process and what the board went through or anything else regarding the city. Shelley?
Hello, Ms. Cannon.
Hi, good
How are you doing?
I'm well, how are you?
Pretty good, thank you.
So Frank has been involved in soccer in Leavenworth. He coached at Immaculata, he coached at St. Mary's, he coached at Pleasant Ridge. My kids didn't even play soccer, and I know all about Frank and what his contributions were. And I really believe that he deserves to have a park named after him. Sorry, my mask keeps falling down. I think it would be an honor for his whole entire family to see that. And all of us on the Parks and Rec board feel the same way.
Okay. Good. Well, listen, I'm going to give each of my fellow commissioners a chance to comment or ask questions. So we're going to go around the horn on this, and Commissioner Wilson, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I just said with this dedication and hard work and the time that he's invested up to the community, it's really well worth it, and I definitely support it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bowder?
Did you say me? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I think this is a really good nomination, and I know Mr. Mazetas had been doing so many things in the community other than this as well, but I think it's certain.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Bowder. Commissioner Leonhard?
I agree. This is a great honor. I knew Mr. and Mrs. Mazetas and their 5 children. I actually attended school with them, and I've known them back, when I was at Immaculata, and what a great job he did. And he just built from there. for what he gave to the community. So a great honor. I agree.
Thank you, Commissioner Leonhardt. Commissioner Preisinger?
I knew Frank Macedas since 1981. To describe him as a soccer aficionado would not be giving him justice. I guess the best term would be if it's higher than a soccer aficionado, would be a soccer nut. Back before soccer was even as popular as it is now. I think he led the charge bringing soccer to this town and to this area. Kansas City's always had a pretty good soccer reputation, but Mr. Macedas is probably known, well, throughout Leavenworth, definitely, and probably in the Kansas City area too. And this is an honor which I'm proud to bestow on Mr. Macedas and his family.
And I'm completely supportive, and I didn't know Mr. Macedas well. My son did. My son was a soccer player at Leavenworth High School, captain his last year in the last 3 years in the 1990s. But during the summer, he would play on the teams that Mr. Macedas would put together from the various local high schools, and always enjoyed going to watch those games and watching those talented players. And I knew he was a very, very good coach, and the young men really looked up to him, and it was a very good letter of nomination. I did not realize that he was involved with University of St. Mary, and so I know probably members of the committee had input into that nomination. I know it was written and signed off by Mr. Mathis, Jim Mathis, but it was a very, very good letter of nomination. So I'm completely supportive and like the fact that we've been able to do this. I don't know how long it's been, but it hasn't been that long since Mr. Macedas passed away, and I think it's very appropriate that we're going to consider this here in a few moments. Anything else from commissioners or any questions? If not, I will entertain a motion on this agenda item.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we name the city-owned property, the soccer complex, the Frank Macedas. Is it the Frank Macedas Memorial, or just the Frank Macedas Soccer Complex?
Roger.
Thank you.
Is there a second? Okay.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second for this particular agenda item. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Leonhardt.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote ayes. The ayes have it, 5-0. Motion carries, so we've officially named the soccer complex in the city of Leavenworth the Frank Macedas Soccer Complex.
Thank you
very
guys
much.
so much for your time.
Thank you.
Next is review unsafe and dangerous structures, given 30-day extensions.
Once again, this will be Julie Hurley, the Director of Planning and Community Development.
Okay, hi, Ms. Hurley.
Hello again. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commission. As you said, this is a review of unsafe and dangerous structures. As you'll recall, on July 14th of this year, the Commission reviewed a total of 18 structures for potential demolition. At that time, the Commission voted to grant a 60-day extension to 10 properties. Those properties were again reviewed by the Commission on September 22nd, and at that time, the Commission voted to grant an additional 30-day extension to the 6 properties that we have here tonight that we're going to be reviewing again. So we're just going to go through each of those 6 properties. Again, as we've done in the past when we've looked at these, I would suggest that you have a discussion on each one as we're on that property, come to a consensus on what you'd like to do in terms of granting an extension, proceeding with demolition, or removing the property from the demolition list altogether. Carla Williamson and I will keep track of those consensus actions, and then once we get to the end, you can make a motion on everything that you've discussed. So the first property that we have is 1033 Osage. This is a detached garage only. There has been no change. There is a dumpster on the property right now, but there are no permits issued and no work has taken place. At the meeting in September, the property owner that indicated that the property was under contract to sell. I checked today, the ownership has not updated in county records. That can sometimes lag a couple of months, so that doesn't necessarily mean it hasn't sold, but we have not received anything from the property owner indicating that it has in fact been sold.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Ms. Hurley on this particular property from my fellow commissioners?
Commissioner Leonhard?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I drove by that the other, okay?
Go ahead, Commissioner Leonhardt.
Okay, I drove by that the other day and I did see that, dumpster sitting there, so, I guess you haven't really had any contact with anybody that, I mean, I don't know how long that's been there. I didn't notice it the last time I drove by, so, Mrs. Hurley, I didn't know if you had any contact with them?
We have not had any contact. I'm not exactly sure how long that dumpster has been there either. There is no permit issued for the dumpster, so I'm not sure when that was placed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this particular property, 1033 Osage detached garage?
Mr. Mayor, I've driven by it 3 or 4 times, well, more than that, in the last month, and I drove by yesterday and again today, and yes, that dumpster is there. We were told, I reviewed all the tapes from the September 22nd meeting, we were told that property had sold and they're just going to do the closing, and we'd hear something. Of course, we have not. I think our only option now is to scrape it, bulldoze it. It has to come down. If we had a 6-inch snowfall instead of the 1.5 inch, it would have probably come down on its own, but we need to give it a little bit of help and move it pretty quickly.
So I'm supportive of what Commissioner Preisinger just said. So my position is that it remains on the demolition list, and I just want to go around the horn and see what each commissioner thinks. So I'm going to begin with Commissioner Wilson. Where do you stand on this particular property?
Yeah, as of right now, with no changes, I say we got to keep it on the demo list.
Okay. Commissioner Bowder?
I agree with that.
Okay. Commissioner Leonhard?
I agree.
And Commissioner Preisinger? Yeah.
Just to clarify, when we say keep it on the demo list, we're saying we want you to proceed with demo, not keep it on the list. Proceed with demo.
Correct.
That's where I am. Proceed with demo.
That's a good point. Yes, to proceed with demolition of the property. Correct. So that's. Do we need to take a vote on that?
You need to see if there's anybody here.
Yeah, see if the owner's here.
Is there anybody here from out in the audience here who would like to comment? Come up and make public comment on this particular property? Okay, so we're good. We don't need to take an actual vote, correct?
No, not at this time. Like I said, we'll keep track of the consensus on each one, and then at the end, you can make the motion.
Because it is a consensus type.
Just for this
one.
and then you'll have a motion at the end.
Alrighty, so the next property, Ms. Hurley?
Okay, the next property is 1914 West 7th Street. This is a single-family house. There was a building permit issued on October 8th for the installation of new siding, new roof, foundation repair, and interior renovations. Work has been ongoing on this one. What you're looking at now is how it looked in September. And then the next picture is as it looked as of yesterday. So you can see that they've torn off some of the siding, getting ready to do some work. At the meeting in September, Trisha Alton, who's a local realtor, was here, indicated that she had the property under contract and was getting ready to take ownership after she got the title work ironed out, and that she would be starting on that. And so it appears that work has begun on that, and there is an active building permit issued for this property.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to come up and comment on this particular property before I ask for input from the commissioners? Any of my commissioners, any of the commissioners have any comments or questions about this particular property?
Mr. Mayor, I've driven by 1914 West 7th, drove by it again this afternoon. Reviewing the tapes and the promises made us, September 22nd meeting, Ms. Alton said the repairs were to start the week after our 9/22 meeting. She also said the new roof and siding would be in place in 2 to 3 weeks. I invite anybody to walk by there or drive by it. They have torn some things off. There has been no work on the roof. There is no building materials there besides junk that they've torn off. I think Ms. Alton's not the owner. She was the realtor. This is one that's, once again, been going on since February, and no action's been taken. I think the action that needs to be taken, that we proceed to demo.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Preisinger. I'm gonna go ask my fellow other commissioners to weigh in, and we'll begin with Commissioner Leonhard. What do you think?
Commissioner Leonhardt, so we haven't, I've drove by that too, and I see, you know, some changes, of course, of stuff getting done, but have we heard from anybody, like Mrs. Hurley, lately on this, or no?
We have not had any contact from anybody.
And no one's here tonight?
No, I asked.
It didn't sound like there was, no.
No, I think I asked. So, anything else, Commissioner Leonhard?
Yeah, I mean, I would say with Commissioner Preisinger, I agree. If this has been going on since February, I'd keep it on the demo list.
Well, it would be proceed with demolition. That was what he was.
Yeah, proceed.
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, proceed.
Yes. Commissioner Bowder?
Well, I don't, who is the owner? I mean, it seems like there's a lot we don't know about this place right now. Who's the owner?
I believe Tricia Alton had taken ownership of it. Again, I didn't see that updated in the county records, but that can sometimes lag for a couple of months. So given that she had pulled a building permit on this, it would indicate to me that she has taken ownership of it.
When did she pull the building permit?
That was done on October 8th.
Okay. It probably says that here, I'm sorry. I don't think we should tear it down yet.
Okay. Anything else, Commissioner Bowder?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it should be torn down yet. I think there should be an extension or something.
Okay. I got it. Commissioner Wilson, what do you think?
Yeah, since there's some ongoing work, I'm in favor of granting an extension, and I've talked to Trish, and she does have plans to, you know, to repair the home. Don't know exactly what's going on in details in their situation, but I'm in favor of granting an extension.
Okay. Before I
Commissioner Leonhardt?
go ahead, Commissioner Leonhard.
Yeah, I didn't realize that that building permit or whatever was just done October 8th, so, and if Commissioner Wilson has spoken to her, then yeah, I would give an extension in that case. I was not aware of that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Preisinger?
The owners of these properties have been instructed very clearly that they need to talk with Ms. Hurley's office. They told us in a meeting on September 22nd, I invite anybody to review the tapes, that that work would start immediately and they'd have a new roof and new siding on it in 2 to 3 weeks. I invite you once again to drive by there. Some people have just torn some of the tar paper off. They have done no work. There are no building materials there. There is no movement in my eye to repair that besides just tear it down and for someone to say, hey, look, I've done something. Well, they haven't done anything. All they've done is junk up the neighborhood even more. This home needs to be taken down. We have played this. We've been played on this since February. I just can't agree with giving them another extension. We gave them a special extension 30 days ago. We gave them a special extension in July. Now we're getting played again.
This is, as the mayor, I agree with Commissioner Preisinger, and my position on this is that we proceed to demolition with this particular property. I will, so there's 2 there, there's 3, I'll just go around and see if, the other 3 commissioners, see if they still want to, consider an extension, and if you do, you know, what are we talking about, another 30 days? So I'm gonna start with Commissioner Wilson. Are you still would like an extension, and if so, for how long?
Well, I'd say 30 days.
Okay. Commissioner Bowder?
Since we might be going into different weather and we don't know what the circumstances are, I would give it I think there should be an extension. I'd be okay with 30 days or 60 days.
Commissioner Leonhard.
I agree, 30 days.
So a 30-day extension, we looked at the dates. The next regular meeting after 30 days from now would be December 8th. So I'd suggest that for any properties that we're reviewing tonight, if you want to give extensions to any of them, that you would stick with one date and extend them all to December 8th.
Well, that's, there's a consensus, 3 to give an extension, and I agree with what Ms. Hurley just said. Although I will reiterate that this has been going on since February, and I agree very strongly with Commissioner Preisinger's assessment of where we are on this particular property, and I don't think it's, it's some indication that the property owner hasn't, even come to the meeting tonight to kind of give us a little bit of an update. That says something to me in terms of how serious she or this person is as far as really getting this done. So I guess we'll readdress it on the 8th of December, and we'll see. The weather's not very, is usually unforgiving over the next, month or so, but that's where we are. So we'll go on to the next property unless there's something else.
I'd like to add that the weather has been extremely forgiving for the preceding 40 days, except for the last 2 days. There has in fact been 0 precipitation since our last meeting until 2 days ago. So we will probably hear the weather excuse the next meeting, but keep in mind, when the weather was perfect, nothing happened. So I just want everyone to kind of remember that when people come in with another beg for a weather extension or whatever it might be.
If I could for just a minute, I'm going to put in the notes here that there's a consensus to review again at the December 8th, 2020 meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Hurley, onward to the next property.
Okay, the next property is 504 Miami Street. This is a single-family home. There was a building permit issued on May 11th of this year for exterior and interior renovations. There was a representative of the owner here the last time, indicated that they would be doing work within the next 30 days since the last meeting. There has been some work that's taken place since then. As you can see in this picture from today, the front porch has been taken off. And I'm not sure, it's a little bit hard to tell if anything beyond that has taken place, but that is the most visible sign of work that we can tell.
And let me just look at the remediation agreement. They had a number of things that they're supposed to take care of, right? Has the roof been replaced yet, Ms. Hurley?
No.
And the chimney hasn't been replaced yet?
I think they might have taken down part of the chimney.
Okay.
That's in the back of the house. You
Okay.
can kind of see it there. I think they might have started taking that down.
Okay.
But it's not been replaced.
And the siding, the mitigation was replace, repair all exterior walls and sidings. Has that taken place yet?
Taylor, could you go back to the previous picture?
It's hard. I know it's.
Yeah, I don't think that it's changed. The siding actually isn't in terrible shape. When we put on these remediation agreements to repair or replace siding, that's really indicating that any areas of decay or deterioration need to be replaced. So it doesn't look like anything with the siding has changed.
Okay, soffits and eaves, replace, repair all soffits and eaves, that's probably in the same category, right?
Yeah, and that usually happens with the roof job, and that has not happened
And then
yet.
the final thing was windows and doors, replace, repair all windows and doors. But, so I just point that out, and they've had the permit since 5/11/2020. Not much progress has been made that I can see, but let me see what, anybody in the audience want to talk about this property, please come up, state your name and address.
Ramon Muhammad, I live in Lawrence, Kansas. 1208 West 21st Street in Lawrence, Kansas. I'm the general contractor as well. And we are doing our best to get this house up and running. We will be putting the porch on, replacing the porch this weekend. Also, we've also put a front door on it. That's a new front door and new window. And the chimney is not going to be replaced. We're just not going to have a chimney there. We're not going to use it. So we're going to hire a roofing company to come out and put a brand new roof on it. And then after that, we're going to be working on the back of the house, on the rooms in that area as well.
Okay, anything else, sir? Any questions or comments from commissioners on this particular property? Commissioner Preisinger?
Mr. Mohammed, are you the owner or the general contractor?
Both.
Okay. When did you start tearing down the porch? Was it yesterday?
We did that almost 4 or 5 days ago.
Okay. When did you finish it? Yesterday? I drove by and you're working on it.
Was it the day before yesterday?
Yeah. You know, when Michelle Sakuna from Olathe, who came and spoke for this property on September 22nd, she said she had Christian Brothers roofing companies come out to work on the roof immediately. Obviously, that hasn't happened. I stopped and looked at the property today, and I know there's a trailer out there with the tire missing. It's up on blocks, on bricks, because it just has an axle there. I happened to talk with the neighbors who've lived there 11 years. They say no one's lived there in 11 years. They say the things have always fallen down in their yard. They did take down the chimney and bricks were falling in their yard, and they were concerned because their kids are over there, so they couldn't do that. And I said, nobody's worked on this thing for 11 years. And they've had a building permit since May 11th, and nothing has happened besides a tear down of a porch. This has got to end. I think that, and I don't want to be unfair to anybody, but I don't want people to be unfair to us, to the city, and what we owe to this neighborhood. And I mean, once again, the neighbors, they said they've been there 11 years. Their one daughter's 10 years old, and I just remember everything. No one's ever lived in it, and it's just continued to deteriorate to the point now that I think we need to take action.
Okay. So you're for proceeding with demolition of the listed property?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go around the horn. Commissioner Leonhard, what are your thoughts on this one?
Nancy wanted to say something real quick.
Okay, I'm sorry. Commissioner Bowder, go ahead.
Nobody ever calls on me. Anyway, I just wanted to ask, how long do you think, I mean, I know, okay, this work has been done since we talked about this last month, but how long do you think it's going to take to get the rest of the items done on here that are required to be done to take it off the list, sir?
We're going to have the porch built this weekend, whole brand new porch. Then we're going to start working on the roof, the canopy of the porch as well. All of the building materials are already inside the house for us to start working on the porch. So this weekend, we plan on putting a brand new deck out there, a brand new porch out there this weekend. And also, like I said, I am a general contractor, and I just pulled another job, and it's anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000. It's going to cost us over $8,000 to get that roof done, to put a brand new roof on it. And we're still planning on going through Christian Brothers to put that roof on there. And we are asking for, like, you know, if we can, due to the weather. I live in Lawrence. I'm getting up here as much as I can to do as much work as I can on the property. So I'm asking for 60 days, you know, humbly asking for a 60-day extension.
Okay.
I'd be for that. I think I'm glad to see you're starting to work on it and that you have the materials, and I don't see any reason to tear it down if you're working on it. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
Okay.
60 days is my recommendation.
Thank you.
We'll get back to the 60 days in a moment, because I think, Ms. Hurley, you were recommending that we keep whatever extension we were going to give the same amount. So we'll get back to that after I hear from the other commissioners.
City Attorney, you can either, I think one of the recommendation is fix a date of the next hearing. And so if you wanted to do 60 days, go out into January, but you certainly could do the 30-day by 30-day if you wanted as well.
But
probably more important to fix the date.
Fix the date, but fix the date for all the properties, right? I mean, is that or
you could do differences if you wanted.
Okay, all right.
But it might be best to have them all, since they're all part of the same list.
Okay. Commissioner Wilson, what do you think?
I'm in
Commissioner Wilson?
agreement with Commissioner Bowder. I'm in favor of a 60-day extension or whatever we agree upon. Like I said, since he started some work, I definitely want his investment to go to waste, and I'm willing to do an extension, whatever time we agree upon.
All right. Commissioner Leonhard. Commissioner Leonhard?
Commissioner Leonhardt, yeah, I couldn't really hear what you guys were talking about with Mr. Waters and that, but I agree with Commissioner Bauer and Wilson. I mean, if we want to go with 30 days and then see what he's got done and do an additional 30, I don't know how that works, but I'm agreement with an extension.
Okay, I don't think we should have an extension. I agree with Commissioner Preisinger. I think we're gonna be back here, whether it's, well, we're talking about 60 days on this particular property, because that's what three of the commissioners want, which was the consensus. I just don't have confidence that it's gonna be done. I agree with everything that Commissioner Preisinger said, and, we'll see. But I guess there's a consensus on this particular property to set a date to review for 60 days, which.
So,
Could I ask if the Commissioners Bowder, Leonhard, and Wilson would be amenable to reviewing it on December 8th? That's about 40 days.
42 days.
42 days,
Yep.
That way we can sort of keep them
Splitting
all
the
in line.
difference.
That's fine.
Okay, is
Yeah,
that?
that's fine with me, Commissioner
Yeah,
Leonhardt.
Commissioner Wilson, yep, yes.
Okay,
Mr. Mohammed, how long have you owned the home?
It's only been a few months. Just shortly after we pulled the permit, after I pulled the permit, like, it was like almost so the date of that permit that I pulled it, that's about how long I've owned it. It was like, I've only owned it or transferred
Since May
changed
11th?
hands. Yeah, since about May. So probably a day before that permit, or, a day or two before I pulled that permit, that's when I got the
Do you think there'll be considerable work done between now and December 8th, which is 42 days from now? Or do you think on December 6th, you might do a few other things and ask for another 30 days?
No, we're gonna do some work. We're gonna get out there and, I got heaters, I got 80,000 BTU kerosene heaters. We get out there, rain, hail, sleet, or snow if we have to. We're gonna get out there and we're gonna get it done.
Why did you pull a work permit on May 11th and not do anything until 2 days ago?
I was under contracts with other customers in Lawrence. Got super busy, super swamped, just couldn't get out here. The contracting construction business is tough. I don't have guys to take care of my customers in Lawrence, because if my name is on the line with every customer that I have in Lawrence. So if I send someone out there and they mess it up, they're not going to remember him, they're going to remember me. So it's very, very tough for me to keep everyone happy, including the city of Leavenworth, trying to get this done. But that's it, it's just time. I'm still trying to build a crew to, get everything done and handle things in Lawrence, and then also come out here and handle things out here in Leavenworth.
Okay.
but, the city does have equities in this thing, and this first got started, when did we first see this property, in February? Was it February when first?
in July, we started contact earlier this
But
year.
we put these homes on the list in February, do we not?
I believe our first contact was like March,
Okay.
so yeah.
So we're good, we've reached a consensus
Yep,
for
so
December
December
8th to review this again. Mr. Mohammed, thank you for coming tonight, just,
Good luck.
yeah, good luck.
Thank you so much, thank you.
All right, really would like to see some appreciable progress, if not being done with it on December 8th.
Okay,
So-
we'll get on it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Okay, the next property is 513 Lawrence Avenue. This is another single-family home. A building permit was issued on June 23rd of this year for interior and exterior renovations. There has been work ongoing since that time. The picture before you now is from July. This current picture is from September. And then our next picture is as of today. I think the next picture was taken. So, from what we can tell, everything that we had on the remediation agreement has been taken care of. They have made substantial progress on this one, so we would actually recommend that this one be taken off the demolition list. It would no longer meet our criteria.
Okay, Commissioner Preisinger?
Yeah, I've driven by that a couple times. They've worked on it. It's up to standard now. And, you know, that's the purpose of what we're doing here. When people say they're gonna do something, we expect them to do it. We give people extensions and extensions. And this property owner did do what they said they were gonna do, and I'm proud of it. I'm glad that it's, back on the tax rolls, a decent piece of property now.
Super. Okay, let's go around the horn. Commissioner Leonhard, what do you think?
I agree with Commissioner Preisner. I drove by it too, yeah, and there's been a lot of improvement to it.
Good.
So I say take it off the list.
Okay, Commissioner Bowder?
Yes, I agree with Ms. Hurley's recommendation. Thank you.
Commissioner Wilson?
I'm in favor of taking it off the demo list as well.
Okay, and as the mayor, I agree with my 4 fellow commissioners, so we have reached a consensus, unanimous consensus, that we take it off the list.
Okay, the next property is 701 South 2nd Street. This is a single-family home. There are no active building permits on this, but work has been ongoing on the exterior of it. Picture up there is from July. The following picture is from September. You can see there was progress, and then the next picture is as of today. They have continued to work on this.
Oh, okay, and sir, could you state your, anything else, Ms. Hurley? Because we have somebody here.
Nope, you can go ahead and.
Okay, go ahead and state your name and address, sir.
Mr. Lockett. Calvin Lockett, 701 South 2nd.
Sir, do you have any, I know I remember you from, what, a month ago, so could you give us an update on what's going on?
Basically, about a week left, the weather caught me and had a few health issues, but I got about a week left. Some concrete I couldn't stop because concrete needed to cure. And basically, you know what I'm saying, I just kind of ran out of time in the weather and a little bit of health issue, but I got about a week left, paint that up, put a little siding on, and I got a door, you know what I'm saying, to install, but pretty much
Where do you put the siding on that?
That one little corner, got a little corner in the front.
On the south end of the house?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what weather you ran into. I don't understand.
The weather this week, I would have been finished Monday and Tuesday. It was snowing and raining.
But for the last 40 days, any weather then?
I've been having some health issues, and plus, it's not a cheap project.
But this looks different than it did a month ago.
It looks better. Yeah.
It looks better.
I'm
So
constantly picking along at it, and my determination is and basically my goal is to get it all done. I'm saying I'm not stopping, you know. And I'm sorry about any delays I ran into, but I'm
okay.
my game.
What are the major things that have to be done just to finish the siding, or?
Just a little bit of siding and the painting of the foundation and install a door. I got it on the north side. There's a door that needs to be replaced.
Is it just you doing the work, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
When do you expect to have it done, Mr. Lockett?
Probably about a week, maybe less than a week, if the weather permits.
Ms. Hurley, if this house was coming up now, would this qualify for a?
No, this would not meet our criteria for demolition.
And I say we remove it. If it currently doesn't meet he's done enough work and he's gonna finish it.
You're right, I'm not gonna stop.
Even if he doesn't finish it, it doesn't qualify for demo. Why extend his misery or our misery?
Okay.
I mean, we should remove it.
We would like to see you finish it.
It should be fair, believe me. I'm saying you come by about a week, it will be different.
So you're thinking just take it off the list?
I'm for removing it, yeah.
Okay, all right, let's go around the horn again. Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, I'll be in favor of taking it off the list.
Okay, Commissioner Bowder?
Great work, too.
Yes, I'm in favor of taking off the list too.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Yes, take it off the list.
I agree with my 4 fellow Mr. Waters?
Yeah, just gonna add for the commission and the property owner that just because it's off the demolition list, it could still be subject to municipal code or code enforcement issues.
Right.
On that as well. So there's still that mechanism to ensure that the work does get completed.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you.
Mr. Lockett, are you in relation to Kevin Lockett or any of the Lockett Pro
No,
Football?
sir.
You're not?
Okay, so, Ms. Hurley, we've unanimous
Yep.
that we're gonna take that property off the list, and, good luck, Mr. Lockett, and, best, hopefully you'll be able to finish it in the next
Oh, will.
few
I
weeks.
thank you guys for your patience and your concern. I appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lockett.
Bye-bye.
Be safe.
Yep.
Okay, our final property is 824 Osage Street. Again, this is a single-family house. There was a building permit issued for a roof replacement on May 22nd of this year. The picture you're looking at now is from July. No work had taken place up to that point. Next picture is from September. No work had taken place at that point. And then this final picture is from today. They have removed part of the roof, and they have built new stairs on the front. And as far as we can tell, that is the extent of the work that has taken place since that time.
And I see we have somebody here. Could you state your name and address, please?
Darlene Derringer. I'm living at 112 East K, Lansing.
Okay. And what would you like to tell the commission, ma'am?
My husband's not well.
Mm-hmm.
He got out of the hospital at the end of July, just before we got here this year. We're doing the best we can with the money we got. We have tried, and we've been working on it. We have permit. She said last time that we didn't, which we did have permit. We even renewed the permit now, so we wouldn't have it not valid. So we even renewed it. We're working as much as we can. I want to move back home. That's my home. We're working on it. We don't have much money. I'm drawing my Social Security, my husband's drawing his disability, and that's what we're living on, and it's not easy, but we're still working on it.
What's been, we addressed this, the last time about a month ago, correct, Ms. Hurley?
Correct, on September 22nd.
And I understand what you're telling me, ma'am. What's been accomplished in that month period? I mean, is there any evidence that anything significant has been accomplished?
Again, they've added stairs to the front porch, which were missing before, and they've removed part of the roof.
Okay.
We fixed the side here. We had to fix it because of the rain before we can ever get the roof on. I've had people call and say they're willing to help me, but they can't do it all either. So we're trying to get it done where we can get the roof on. But we are working on it.
Ms. Derringer, didn't some folks come forward and try and say they wanted to help? I mean, there were some volunteers that possibly wanted to help you?
Yes.
And that people with experience with roofs, is that correct?
Right, yes.
And did in fact they come and look at it and say, this roof can't be repaired, it has to be torn off?
No, nobody has ever said. They said, in order to fix the roof, we have to fix the esophagus or what, I don't know, whatever that's called right through there.
Soffits.
And we have been working on that. We have this part here almost done with it.
Has the house experienced a fire? Has there been a fire at the house?
No.
Because those rafters that are open in the front, drive by it, they look very blackened as if they're charred. I don't know if that's mold or char or whatever, but I know the rafters have to be replaced because the rafters are rotten and there's, those rafters probably could not hold up the roof anymore. And if you look at the roof and you drive by, it all is dipped back and forth, that the roof is in horrible shape.
The inspector told us the house was sound.
That
we were doing a good job. Just keep up the work.
Who said that?
One of the city I don't really remember, I don't know, they came to check.
Do you know anybody that's?
I'm not aware of that.
No, just like she don't know we had a permit, which we did. So, but, I wish I would've wrote down the names of the people there was 2 guys that came out from the city.
Well, your husband's not doing the work because unfortunately you said he's not well, so.
He's doing some, but not much, but my son's came back from Missouri. He's helping me as much as he can. We're constantly trying to do, we've been working on it a lot.
Commissioner Preisinger, anything else before I go to the other commissioners? Or?
When, Mr. Derringer, when do you expect that it'll be complete?
I wish I could say tomorrow.
I know,
would
but
give anything to say tomorrow. I don't know. We don't have money. We have to work on it. We're doing some. We didn't work on it yesterday or the day before because it got real cold and snowy and horrible. But we've been working on it every day, doing something to it. I know you said don't paint it. I said we got the paint.
I didn't say, I just said, I think you need to finish other work before you paint. I think painting would be the last thing. How long has the house been vacant, Ms. Derringer?
I don't really know.
What's your best guess?
It's been vacant a couple of years at least, yes.
And, you know, many years of deterioration there.
Not many years, no.
I mean, if you're a neighbor there and you watch your neighbor, your house, the property next to you or the property in your block go down like that, they've got to be asking, you know, how long do we have to live with this?
I asked my neighbors. They said they can see that I am trying to improve.
Well,
I'm trying.
Approximately, when do you think it'll?
I know I'm not good enough for you, but I am trying so severe. It's not like we're not doing nothing.
I can understand that. I mean, have you had any estimates, and I don't want to get into the financial part of it necessarily, have you had estimates on what it will cost to repair it? And then, once you know that number, is that something that you really want to, that you're willing to do?
Yes, we're willing to do.
And you're capable of doing?
To Home Depot and told them, we measured how big the roof was, and they told us how much it was going to cost for the supplies for it. Right offhand, I can't. I know I should have wrote all this down, but.
But you have to have a licensed roofer do the roof.
Right.
I mean, you can't just do it volunteers.
Yes.
How much do you think a roof is there?
I don't remember how much they said.
8,000?
I mean, I don't know how much, but I have a lot of people that I know that does roofing for a living. And they volunteered to help me as soon as I get the stuff to do it.
You know, they have to be licensed roofers.
I know,
yeah,
I know. That's what you
licensed.
said. You keep saying that, and I know this.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner, I want to go see what 3 other commissioners think. Commissioner Wilson? Because I think what we're probably looking at would be an extension or setting a date to review this property again, which in my mind, if we are going to do that, would be the 8th of December. But Commissioner Wilson, what do you think?
So just say if we did extend it for 30 days, do you think you'll be able to make any major improvements within that time frame or some improvements?
I could make some improvements, but I don't believe it'd be good enough for him. This wasn't good enough. If you look at the other side of the house, it's painted, it looks good. You know, we fixed the, whatever that's called up there, soffits, right, yeah.
Well,
we are working
I appreciate the work, excuse me, ma'am. Yeah, I appreciate the work that you did do. I'm in favor of extending grace and also my recommendation is to extend it for an additional 30 days.
Well, we were talking about trying to be uniform. It would be December 8th would be the next time to which is about 42 days.
I thought that was
42 days.
Yes, December the 8th.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bowder?
Yeah, Ms. Derringer, what do you think it would take before somebody could live there? Because it's, you know, I'm not going to criticize your work, but to me, in driving by there several times a week, I think the biggest thing is the roof.
I agree. I agree. That is the biggest thing.
Pardon?
That is the biggest. If I had a roof, I could move right in as soon as I got the electric back on. You know.
Well, if you moved in, then it would be a mood issue. But if you could get a roof on there, that would be the key thing. All these other little things are not as important as that roof.
I know that.
Which I think you understand that. But that should be your number one goal here. Move in. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
Is to be able to live there. If it's just going to be a vacant house you're just working on, we're just spinning our wheels here. I don't you know, I know your situation, I understand it.
So in other
But,
words, if I move back in tomorrow, then they won't tear it down?
You couldn't get power, you couldn't get water, electricity, et cetera, and you can't
I
move
can
into
get
a
water,
house
I know
without
that.
that.
Okay, can I speak?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
ma'am. You need
yes.
to, ma'am, you need to state your name and
My
address,
name-
please.
My name is Amanda Woodward. My address is 112 East K. I'm her daughter.
Okay.
Okay, they have been doing as much work as they possibly can, and of course, the roof is needed, and she's working on that. She's had people come out and actually look at it. Like she said, the soffit, it has to be completely replaced before they can even get up on the roof to do the roof. So she has made steps to improve the property, and she's trying, like she said, she's on a fixed income. I wish I could help her, but, like, there's the 40-day extension, that'd be great. Like, yeah, like I said, they have been making steps to get that roof put on. That is definitely a priority.
For the first priority.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's
Absolutely.
what we said.
I would be for, extending to the December date, and
Thank you, Commissioner
and
Bowder.
hopefully you have a roof on.
Thank you.
Could I get your, I could not understand your name.
Amanda Woodward?
Manda.
Did you get
What's
it,
the
Ms.
last name? I'm sorry.
Woodward?
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 Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Leonhardt.
Yeah, I do see a little improvement, but I'm with Commissioner Bowder. Yeah, I know with limited income, and I would go ahead and extend it till December 8th, but try to focus on the roof.
Thank you.
Is with the new roof being needed, Mrs. Derringer, is there any leakage going into the house from the moisture from the current roof?
Not right now, there was, but we already fixed that. That was on the front part where it, I don't know. But anyway, we put the new things in. And
It's still wide open, right up there, right
Not
above
all-
your porch, it's.
yeah, a little of it is, not all the way, because we had to fix that.
I know, but
that
water we get.
false little house, little window thing. We had to fix that up.
Ms. Hurley,
In order to do anything.
what needs to happen to this house to bring it up to standards that it would not be considered for demo?
So the items that were on the remediation agreement were to replace the roof, repair and replace any exterior siding that needed, repair and replace the soffits and eaves, repair and replace any broken or damaged windows and doors, and to remove all peeling paint and to repaint the exterior.
But the long pole in the tent, though, is this roof, right? I mean, basically, I mean, the high priority in terms of those things, that has to get done for anybody to live in the home, right?
I mean, that would generally be one of the priority items, but all of the items on the remediation agreement are required in order for it to be current with
And
standards.
before power could be turned on, does it have to have an inspection, have a certificate of occupancy?
Yeah, there would need to be an inspection, after power has been off for a period of time, there needs to be an inspection before, that can be turned back on.
And a couple notes, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager Paul Kramer, there was an electrical inspection done on the property on August 21st, and that found that the breaker box requires complete replacement, rusted out beyond being able to be used, and it's also out of code. Since it's been off for more than a year, the house has to be brought up to code, and the electrical services is out of code. So there's substantial electrical work to do. I would also make one comment on the extension. Usually an extension is tied to an expectation between the commission and the party of an achievable goal within the extension.
Right.
I sort of question why we're gonna give an extension to a certain date if both parties don't believe that the roof will be changed. So I would either recommend picking a date much farther out. I don't think there's any expectation from the property owner of putting a roof on in 40 days. So if we come back the 8th, both parties should not expect anything different than we're seeing today.
Is that a fair assessment, Ms. Derringer?
I agree, yes.
I mean, she's going to be working on it.
Based on what we're seeing right now, rewiring, sounds like I'm just,
Right.
complete electrical, has to be complete inspection. Roof torn off and new one put on. You know, I think replacing a lot of those rafters, you can see where it's sunk and there's some of those rafters are broken.
We fixed that
The
too.
cost, and once again, I'm not a contractor, but the cost of redoing that potentially far exceeds the value of that house right now.
Right now.
And I understand
they
that you
said it's-
want to live there, but
It is a
is
sturdy, still a sturdy
this
house.
is this thing salvageable?
Yes, they said, I will find out, and I will call you who the guys were that came out and told us that it was a solid house and that we was doing a good job.
If I had been in agreement to extend this to December 8th, I would like to know, have a complete cost breakdown of what it's going to cost to fix the roof, to do the rewiring, what it will take to get this house, to get a certificate of occupancy, and what the plan is to get it that way. But without, want to know what the dollar figure is, what has to happen, and what the immediate plan is to get it that way. Otherwise, we're going to be like this every month. We've been like this every month since March, April, May, June, July, August, September,
July
October.
was the first time I've heard anything about it was in July, and I was here in July.
So Commissioner Bowder, Wilson, or Leonhardt, any, and I understand what the city manager was telling me, but I think that, and if we're at the same point on December 8th, personally, I think that would be it. Because I agree with what Commissioner Preisinger just said in terms of looking at sort of some things we'd like to see, but I'm not sure we can, I mean, that's not something we can, you know, specify or direct Ms. Derringer to provide.
The commission can require or request any information you feel is pertinent to this issue.
So could you repeat that again?
What I'd like to see, as we've stated, when we give extensions, we expect certain action to occur. Realistically, we know this house is not going to be up to grade by December 8th. But by December 8th, at our December 8th meeting, I would expect to see a complete rundown of what needs to happen and the cost for that to get a certificate of occupancy, which would include, includes, but not necessarily everything. Here, I'm just going to list some things: the roofing, the electrical work inside. You know, it sounds like it might need complete rewiring. The soffits, the plumbing, etc. Whatever it'll take, I would like. And we've got 42 days to do that, and it's incumbent upon you to bring that to us. 42 days. That is 6 weeks. That you're going to have to hire somebody out there, and it's not just a guy that drives by and rakes leaves. It's going to have to be somebody who says, here's what the roofer says, it has to be done. I want to see a licensed roofer, their estimate. I want to see a licensed electrician, a licensed plumber. Here's what it's going to be, what that cost is going to be, what we're looking at. We need that information.
Can we please have, is there any way that you can print out exactly what it is that she needs to
that I
have
know,
done?
step
that
that I know.
Sure.
That'd be great.
That would help me out a lot.
I mean, we're recording that right now. Ms. Williamson is taking that information down, and I agree, because we kind of, in a general sense, I know my comment. If we went back a month, I was concerned that there had to be a project plan, and we didn't get into the specificity of what Commissioner Preisinger just said, but I support what he says, or we're going to be doing this every 30 days, and we can't keep doing that.
Yes, I hear you.
So
I understand.
I support what Commissioner Preisinger said, and I want to see if, in terms of what Commissioner Preisinger has laid out, as far as, you know, kind of the estimates in terms of the work that has to be done and an estimate of the cost. Are my fellow commissioners, beginning with Commissioner Wilson, comfortable with that?
Commissioner Bowder wants to say something.
Commissioner Bowder, go ahead.
Thank you. I had my hand up, sorry.
Sure.
I'm wondering if, I mean, we've heard about, I don't think we need a complete plan of everything. We don't do that on anybody else. But I'm wondering if Ms. Derringer can even afford to put a roof on the house, which is the most important thing here, to keep it structurally sound so it doesn't fall down. A roof is what? How much? $8,000 for probably a roof?
As for reshingling, I think to rebuild a roof could be in the neighborhood of $20,000 if they have to tear out all those rafters.
No, it wouldn't be that much. You know.
I don't think it would be that much,
can,
but Ms. Derringer, do you think you could afford to fix a roof?
I
If
can't,
not,
but I have a lot of
go
friends that will willing to help, that are going to help me, that are licensed, that, you gotta give me a chance, period. You know, no matter
that's
how
all I'm
much money
saying.
I have.
And the long-term thing here, can you afford to fix the roof
Yes,
on the house?
I can afford, if I have to do anything, I'll get it.
On the house, I'd be willing to give you an extension on anything else, but that roof is the primary thing that's
I
holding your
agree,
house.
I agree, the roof is number one, I know this. That's what I said from day one.
Can you afford 8,000 to 10,000 or more to fix that roof? Can you afford that in the next 40 days?
I doubt it in 40 days, no. You know, I have rent, I have utilities, you know, I have my own bills besides this here. You know,
Well, this house.
nobody can afford two houses.
Well, Commissioner Bowder, anything else? I understand where you're coming from on that. So what's your?
I don't know if she can afford to fix it, and what are we supposed to do about that? And if the house is unsafe, and she can't afford to fix it, what point is it?
Right.
What point is it? Unless she comes into a lot of money real soon and gets it fixed. To me, that's the primary thing.
If God's willing, that would happen.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Well, I agree, yet my concern is, you know, if you can't fix the roof in a timely manner, what's gonna happen is winter's coming upon us, and if that roof that's on there right now is unstable, it could possibly collapse. So then you're gonna have a bigger problem, because all the insides are gonna get damaged and molded and wet, so,
Okay.
you know,
Are you, Commissioner Leonhard, are you good with the extension or setting the next time to review this on the 8th of December with the stipulations that Commissioner Preisinger outlined with respect to kind of at least a general project plan and how much those repairs are gonna cost? Because I don't know, I think that's the next logical step, and by that time, I don't know, we'll have a discussion with Ms. Derringer in terms of whether, you know, those costs, those finances can be met, and we'll probably be having the same conversation, but at least we'll know the extent of how much the repairs are gonna cost. And Mr. Kramer, did you have something, or?
Yeah, speaking with the city attorney, David Waters, in 42 days, if you're given a number, if you're given an estimate and you don't believe it, at that point, you're tearing it down because you didn't believe the number, not because of work that has or hasn't happened. So you're not tying it to improvements of the property in 42 days, you're tying it to a number with no plan attached to the number.
Right.
And I think that's what Commissioner Bowder was getting at is, the number is nice to know, but the plan and the implementation of the plan, and I'll make one other note. While this has been on the demolition list for some 6+ months, code enforcement hasn't been writing up for a clear number of property maintenance violations that affect that neighborhood. So the longer it sits on the demo list not unfixed, we aren't citing it for all the numerous property maintenance violations that it has. Once we start doing that, the court will start assessing fees and fines based on all the issues that have not been fixed. So we're sort of in a little bit of a situation for that neighborhood. There's no relief on the demo list because we won't be citing it.
Well, we could, I mean, another option would be to just, you know, have the roof's gotta get done in 42 days. I mean, that's an option, right? I mean, then and I know it's hard, but that would at least be along the lines of looking at what's happened as far as the remediation, right? Which
City Attorney David Waters, at that point, you're kind of starting to make modifications to the remediation plan. If you're saying by this point, you need to have this, but there are still other reasons that the property may meet the requirements for why the building official put it on there as an unsafe or dangerous structure. So certainly you could do that if we wanted to direct staff to prepare, you know, some sort of modified remediation plan of some kind of report back to you. I think my concern would be if you were to let the applicant leave tonight with an understanding that between now and the next date of the extension, you're not expecting any work to be done, but then at the next meeting, you call it demolition because you don't like the numbers that you see or things like that. And because that person has been doing the work for the last 30 days because you've essentially said, we're not expecting you to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a flip side could be you could do 60 days with a 30-day
I think we've
update.
just gotta look at the work, I mean, I think we're looking at, I think that's good input. My thing, yeah, I think we just gotta look at whether this work is done, and we've got, I'm okay with 42 more days, but if it continues kinda like it is now with nothing being changed or corrected, then if you come here, we look at it on the 8th, we may reach a conclusion where we have to proceed with demolition, so.
Is the hurdle we need to establish that we need a roof on by December 8th, 42 days, 6 weeks?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Well, I'd have to defer to Ms. Hurley as to whether that resolves why it's on the dangerous building
Yeah,
list.
just the roof does not resolve the reason
No, I
it was on the
understand that,
demolition
but
list. So
but-
that would be up for the
That's the
commission to
main
decide if there's only one thing that you're looking for.
this
Given
is-
that this property obviously needs the most work out of any that we've looked at, and the owner has conceded that she will not have it complete by December 8th, I actually might suggest on this one that you give a longer extension. The first meeting in January would be January 12th. That would give the owner some more time to have more improvements made. If I think we're all realizing that if we come back on December 8th, it's not complete, then you're just gonna be kind of in the same place you are now with deciding whether it's been enough or not enough and how much more time. So this might be a situation where it might be better to just push it out another month.
What
So-
if, Ms. Hurley, the roof is the most imminent thing, and obviously there's a bunch of things that have to happen, but if the roof can be completed, if we see that by December 8th, then we can see progress is being made, maybe on December 8th, then we decide to extend, rather than give 60 days with nothing and then January 12th comes by. What if we establish, Mr. Waters, if we say December 8th, we need this particular thing to happen, if that happens, then we'll reconsider extending after that rather than go 2 months. Is that fair, or is that?
Probably. I mean,
I have a comment with that.
Go ahead, Commissioner Bowder.
Yes, I agree, I would agree with that. My thought was that since this is one of the most critical and expensive things on the list, if that one thing was done by December 8th and I saw I would realize that they were making a good faith effort to complete this because they had the roof on it and I could see that, then I would be much more willing to extend everything else out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But up to now, I mean, I haven't seen it yet,
Right.
so.
Okay. All right, so that's kind of what's on the table right now in terms of what Commissioner Preisinger said, and Commissioner Bowder has supported what Commissioner Preisinger said about the roof by the 8th of December. Commissioner Leonhard, can you live with that?
Yes, I agree.
Commissioner Wilson?
So we're asking for a roof by December the 8th?
That is correct.
Yeah, I'm more in favor of Ms. Hurley's recommendation.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So for me to weigh in, I'm going to agree that a roof by the 8th of December, and so that's what, 4 of us in consensus or in agreement there. So it's a tough situation, but that's where we are. Yes, ma'am.
Didn't we just discuss that, we don't think that we'd be able to have the roof finished by the 8th? Didn't we just have that discussion right before all this other stuff started? Like we agreed that it'd probably be pretty close to impossible to have the roof finished by the 8th of December, right? I thought that's what we said.
I don't think it is. I mean, if you could hire a roofing company, you could probably have it done within the next 2 weeks.
If she was, yeah, okay, like I'm saying, like her, I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't know your name, but, she said something about, July 12th or whatever, which I'm thinking that way we don't have to come back in front of you again until then. So that way it's not cause obviously it's the burden having to come in here, having to deal with it every month. Like, logically speaking, July 12th would be more
No, I said January 12th.
I mean, I'm sorry, January, my bad. I'm so sorry, he said, he was
As
talking
an
about.
option.
That
Yeah,
was an
January.
option, yeah.
Sorry.
But I think we decided on December 8th. I mean, a building permit was issued on May 22nd for a roof and nothing's happened.
I understand, like, I understand everything that you've already said, but, it's okay, it's just, okay, December 8th is fine, whatever.
That's what we've come to a consensus on, and, I appreciate it. I think we,
It doesn't matter.
thank you for your input, and we will, go from here. Ms. Hurley, do we need to do anything else on this property?
Nope, not on this property. So that is the final property that we're reviewing tonight. So I'll just kind of recap. What I've got down is the consensus on each property so that you can make a motion, to wrap this up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Hurley.
So for the first property, 1033 Osage, the consensus was to proceed with demolition of this detached garage.
Right.
1914 West 7th, a consensus was to give an extension to December 8th. 504 Miami, consensus was an extension to December 8th. 513 Lawrence, consensus was to remove from the demolition list. 701 South 2nd, consensus to remove from the demolition list. And 824 Osage, consensus to give an extension to December 8th with the expectation to see a roof
Okay.
complete.
Okay. And Mr. Waters, we're okay
Yeah, I mean, I
with?
think the only thing I would add on that is I think, you're probably, setting yourself up for at least that, even if you do have a roof by that date, you will probably, in fairness, need to give an extension for the rest because you're establishing.
Right. Yeah.
Well, all I'm looking
That
for is
expectation.
that there's a,
Yeah,
some.
I understand.
So I think you should keep that in mind that on December 8th, if that work is done.
Sure.
Out of fairness, it wouldn't be right to
Yes.
say,
No,
we're not gonna grant an
that's a good
extension as
point.
to other
I
things.
think,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what
But
I
the
was
roof
thinking.
isn't done.
Right. Okay. I'd entertain a motion then. Commissioner Preissner, can you?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we take action on the following properties: 1033 Osage, that we proceed with demolition, the garage on 1033 Osage, property at 1914 West 7th, that we give an extension until December 8th to review the progress, property at 504 Miami, extended till December 8th to review progress, property at 513 Lawrence, removed from the demolition list, property at 701 South 2nd, removed from the demolition list, property at 824 Osage, maintain it on the demo list with a review on December 8th with the expectation that a roof is completed by December 8th. We will consider giving extensions for the other things for it to meet code.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for this particular agenda item for the 6 properties that we've just discussed as outlined by Commissioner Preisinger. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Wilson.
Yes to all 5 properties except for number 6, 824 Osage.
It's either yes or no on the.
Yeah, it's either
It's
yes
either yes or no on the entire motion.
Yeah, it's for all 6 properties, Commissioner Wilson, so it is either a yes or no to the motion.
Yes, Dick, yes, I got you, yes.
Yes? Okay. All right, Commissioner Bowder?
Yes.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Yes.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0. So this particular motion carries, and we are where we are now with these 6 properties, and a lot of discussion, but it's an important topic, and we'll next see the ones that are coming back on the 8th of December. Thank you. Is there somebody here from?
Yeah,
Come on up here to the podium, please. State your name and address.
My name is Michael McKinley from 3540 West Mesa Verde Avenue in Las Vegas. I'm for a property here for 934 Ottawa.
That property was discussed at the September 22nd meeting, and the commission voted to proceed with demolition on that property at that time.
Can,
Well, we were not notified.
well, that's,
I wasn't even here.
can I hear what the people have to say, and then we'll, or what's your recommendation, Mr. Waters, to me at this point, since it was not on the agenda, this particular
It's not on
property?
the agenda, the time for public comment has passed, and I believe your code requires you, if there are gonna be non-agenda items, or to change it up, that you actually pass a motion to change the agenda to allow it, but again, I'm not sure that I'm usually a stickler for just hearing public comment on issues, but I don't know that this is a matter that's properly before you for consideration.
Right.
For action tonight.
Right.
Without, having amended the agenda in some way, but I don't see an issue if you wanna allow, awareness of an issue.
So I could allow awareness, get the input, but we're not gonna take any action. It's not part of this agenda item that we just got finished with.
It's not part of tonight's agenda, and
Okay.
of course, staff hasn't had a chance to
So-
review anything.
Sir, I'll give you about 1 or 2 minutes to give the commission your feedback, and then we're gonna go on.
What is your name again, sir? I'm sorry.
Michael McKinley.
Michael McKinley, okay.
I'm a business partner with the owner.
Who's the owner?
Who? Oh, Billy, yeah.
Billy who?
Carlisle.
I thought you
See, I'm business partners with his cousin, I guess.
Oh,
Everybody lives in Vegas, yes.
yeah.
And we all live in Vegas, and I have a contract, I'm a contractor out there, Fat Cat Custom Homes. And I was, told that this house was, needed to have the roof on it, but with the COVID and everything happening, we, weren't be able to travel. So finally, when we did get the, the papers saying that they're gonna tear down the house, I came out here, assessed the house, and it needs probably like $8,000, worth of roofing done on it. And we do have the money to do so and to proceed, fixing the house. We can even pay for the power to be hooked back up and the gas to be put back in.
In addition to that,
Come on up here and give me your name, please, and address.
in addition to that, my name is Mayor Morchi. I'm the one of the owner's brother. I found out the same thing, and I moved out here to stay and make sure that it gets done, to supervise it. We came here originally with David Hansen, and when we left here, David Hansen had passed away. So that kind of delayed us from working on the house. He was supposed to help, and I'm sorry that happened to him. David Hansen passed away. And then I went down there and brought a lawnmower, and I tried to turn the electricity on, but I couldn't do that because the power of attorney was not put under my name, and I don't know why it wasn't, but anyways, so I had a problem with turning on the electricity. Aside from that, what I did was I went out and bought a generator. I bought the material that's required for all the lower parts. I did buy a generator, I bought a paint sprayer, and I've got the paint, and all the material's there. The only thing that's missing is the roof material, and that's what Mike here is going to be working on. And I bought part of it, but I didn't buy it all. So in addition to all that, I hope that you can grant us an extension, and I'm happy to come back here and give you a daily progress report or a weekly report to make sure that something is done with it.
We can't give, okay, anybody else have anything to say? Got about a minute more.
No.
Anything else, sir?
No.
Okay. We can't grant you an extension because this isn't part of the agenda that we have for tonight's meeting. So it's not even on the agenda.
Taken action, we've already.
Right. I mean, we made a decision a month ago, right, on this particular property?
I was not notified. I'm Justina Mudd, and I'm the executive.
When did we make a?
September.
Ms. Hurley, I'm sorry.
September 22nd.
Yeah.
Which I have never received a notification for at any of the addresses, nor did the owner receive a notification of that. Because he gets the mail.
What's your name, sir, again?
Maya Morchi.
Yeah, you were here in the July meeting when you gave a 60-day extension. I know that you were there and that we were going to review it again September 22nd.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, the proper...
That was the notification.
I mean, we went through the proper due process, and we've already made the decision. I mean, this is a moot point, I think.
I had no power of attorney, and I didn't understand all that, but what if the house can be fixed in a week?
Okay, all right, I think that really is, I understand, we've taken the comments in, but like I said, this was not something that was part of our agenda.
The reason why we came back is we were here 2 weeks ago, and Mr. Kramer, I believe it was, said for us to come in tonight.
So,
Could you state your name, please?
my name is Justina Budd.
I do believe Mr. Kramer, I did talk to Mr. Kramer afterwards, saw you here, and, you know, that wasn't.
Right, I'm just.
But I think I also said that that action had already been taken. And that horse is out of the barn, that is water under the bridge, or whatever. We have made the decision to proceed with demolition, we made that decision, on the 35 days ago.
Your Honor, I relocated to Vegas. I relocated here.
All right, thank
because
you.
I was supposed to stay in that house, sir. And I relocated on those grounds. I had no idea, I don't understand why she had the power of attorney put under her name alone and why she didn't put it under my name. I don't understand that. All I know is that when I came in here, I started working on the house and I was supposed to fly back to Vegas, but I tried to turn the electricity on and I had problems because I didn't have power of attorney. And I didn't understand that. I was like, what? And I couldn't understand why she wouldn't put it under my name. And so I spoke to the owner, and he's like, no, she didn't tell me anything about that. And so I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand it. I bought the materials. I'm supposed to live in that house. That was part of why I came out here. And then when I heard this happening, I'm under suspicion of what exactly they're doing. Okay, I don't understand what they're doing or why that even happened. Yeah, but if I can have that fixed, if I can have that house fixed, I can have it fixed for you in 2 weeks before you demolish it. Will that make a difference? Can I just fix it up and then I'll show you the reports? Everything's done?
No, we're not addressing that. I've taken the comments. I understand where you're coming from, but this wasn't something, we made a decision a month ago, and it was not up for further analysis or assessment today, sir. And I know that's a tough stance to take, but I mean, we have certain procedures here that we've got to follow, and we've gotten your input, and you whatever you need to do at this particular point in time, the commission is not, as far as I know, is not going to go back and change the decision it made a month ago.
But if I fix the house and it's done, and then I come back and then you go to demolish it and you see everything done?
Like I said.
Because I bought the material and everything, and I've got nothing to do but fix that house and do exactly as you said, and I started to. I did the landscaping, they removed some of the trims, and then now I'm ready to fix that house and have it done in 2 weeks completely.
I mean, we haven't checked because this house we were proceeding to demolition, correct?
We haven't been monitoring it.
We haven't been monitoring it.
I mean, I'll go there and I'll have it done. I've got, yes, sir.
Commissioner Wilson,
I mean, this can certainly be added to added as an agenda item, if there's one's direction to talk with staff or see, but, right now,
I mean, you're talking about adding it as an agenda item today?
I was referring to the future, because, I mean, staff has had the opportunity to look at this. Any action would require an updated resolution and that's just even if that was something that.
Yeah, how long's this house been vacant? How long, when's the last time somebody was in this house?
Many years.
Many years ago. Right? Yes,
sir, but I'm here now to stay, and I'm here to, I'll do it. I'll give you my word, this will be a project that you guys will be proud of.
Ms. Hurley, where are we on the demo project? When are the bulldozers scheduled to run, do you think?
So we've already.
Question?
Go ahead, Commissioner Wilson, go ahead.
Well, I was about to ask, is this something that we can address at another meeting?
Well, I'm asking first where we are in the demo process. I mean, the bulldozers may be running tomorrow.
So we've begun the process of disconnecting utilities on the batch that you move forward with on September 22nd. We've moved forward with having utilities disconnected. We've had the environmental reviews done on all of those. So the city's been incurring costs, taking our steps to get that ready for demolition. We just got the environmental reviews completed this week. Now that has taken place, we were able to put out the bid for demolition. So the bid for demolition will be going out shortly. And then once we get that back in, then it will be coming down. Yeah. So the city has been incurring costs on this based on the commission's vote to move forward with demolition.
I'll pay the extra fees.
I think you have two
hold it, sir.
You have two separate things. One of them is setting a matter on an agenda. And there's code sections on there about how that can be done. A mayor or the staff member may add one, or a commission member may do with the consensus of the council. But this isn't just a new item. This is a revisitation, renewal, a rescission of action already taken by the commission. So, I mean, I think that, you know, just agreeing even tonight to place something on an agenda, future agenda, that is not by itself action to undo the resolution and the work that you've already taken on this, you know, unless, you know, for whatever reason, there might be some time or instruct staff to delay in some way, and you ask them to bring it up for you to consider a rescission or a reconsideration of the action that you took.
Mr. Mayor, you know, we reviewed this property on July 21st. I think this gentleman was here. We gave him 60 days, said that we would relook this September 22nd. Between July 21st and September 22nd, nothing happened. We had all kinds of promises on the 21st of July this would happen. We took action on the 22nd to proceed with demolition. I'm very comfortable with that decision. Yes. It sounds like a very convoluted convoluted situation there. At no time have we ever heard from the owner. I am not in favor of revisiting it. We've made our decision.
I agree with Commissioner Preisinger as the mayor and one of the city commissioners. Let me go around. Commissioner Wilson?
Well, I would just like to have some more information. What's the address? I just typed it in.
934 Ottawa.
934 Ottawa.
And I believe we saw it on July 14th, not the 21st.
Yeah, my recommendation, I would be open to looking into it on the just to try to get a better understanding. I don't have the information in front of me, but that's.
But we did have the information in front of us a month ago, and I guess there's been some things that have changed a little bit. But Commissioner Leonhard, how do you feel? I mean, I'm with Commissioner Preisinger in terms of sticking with the decision we made a month ago on this particular property.
Okay, I have a question, Commissioner Leonhard. So, yeah, what if he goes, okay, it's in the process for demo, which we all agreed with, but what if he goes and does a lot of fixing up and then we still demo it?
I don't have the information on this property in front of me. I didn't look up any permits or anything, but it's the city's practice. We will not issue permits on a property that has been approved for demolition. So I can tell you that no permits have been issued on this since September 22nd. I don't know what was required, as I don't have, you know, the information on this property in front of me. But no permits have been issued on this.
They could if they had requested the permits
they would not
be issued.
They would not have been issued since it had been approved for demolition.
And if any work is to be done, that would be work done without a valid building permit, which would itself be a violation of city code.
On our meeting on July 14th, 934 Ottawa single-family house. At that time, there had been no change, no contact from the owner. Mr. Mayor, is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yes, sir. I did a lot of work on that property.
No, how do you pronounce your last name? My question is?
They pronounce it, the computer says mortgage, but it's Morchi.
Morchi, okay. Mr. Morchi was here, and he said he can have the house fixed up in 60 days.
I couldn't do anything.
Justina Budd addressed the commission, said she has the authority but does not have a notarized document stating such. We don't know where that is. The owner lives in Vegas and she lives here in Leavenworth and is the property manager for the property. Was that Justina Budd that was here just now?
Yes, and I don't know why she's supposed to put it under my name too.
City attorney said the power of attorney is appropriate for proof that the people speaking on behalf of the owner are acting on the authority of the owner. We've never seen that. We had a consensus of the commission July 14th. The property owner will have 2 weeks to get a power of attorney or other legal documents authorizing others to act on his behalf. If the documentation is not provided in 2 weeks, the property will be set for demolition. If the proper documents are provided, the property will be on the same schedule of review as the property's given 60-day extensions, which was until September 22nd. Nothing happened. This is another.
But I was there.
Give me more time. We gave them all the time in perfect weather, everything else, and
I'll
nothing
do it in
happened.
cold weather now.
We've already taken our action.
I was there, sir, and I did the landscaping.
Sir.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I understand where you're coming from, and
I'll have it perfect. It'll be a perfect house. You'd be so happy with it.
I heard that on July 14th.
This is my first time here. It's my
action.
second time here. My second time here. I'll give you a daily progress report. I'll show you the primer on the building. I bought the paint. I got the sprayer. I'll do it in the cold weather. I can do it. And you'll be happy with it. You'll be happy. Please, just give me that chance. And I'll give you a daily report. I'll take my materials down there like I did. I moved everything from the house because they were driving me crazy. I'm like, Tina had power of attorney. And I'm like, Tina, I put it under my name. And why didn't you put it under my name too? And I don't understand what she did. And then I called her, tried to turn the electricity on. I didn't have it. And I was like, oh my God. This is not, okay, I'm going to go down there and talk to them and they'll help me.
We were never provided power.
You guys will help me with that.
We did get a power of attorney. I believe it just had Miss Bud's name on it. We did get that within the 2 weeks, which is why it was then extended.
I was all over the place.
Sir, don't interrupt, please, okay?
Yes, sir, Your Honor, I'm very sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Hurley.
So like I was saying, I believe we did receive a power of attorney. I believe it just had Miss Bud's name on it. Again, I don't have that in front of me. But that is why we extended it to September 22nd instead of just proceeding with demolition after that July 14th meeting.
After hearing all this, and I still haven't gone to Commissioner Bowder or Commissioner Leonhard, Mr. Waters, anything?
No, I mean, you can direct your staff to look into this or provide things. I don't think that it's, certainly not appropriate tonight. There's not been an agenda item to take a formal action on rescinding a past matter, because we haven't had the staff, but if, you would want to direct staff in some way and have them work through that, that's something that you could do, or you could thank the gentleman for his comments and proceed to the next agenda item.
Right. Commissioner Bowder, what are your thoughts before we wrap this?
My thoughts are that it's difficult tonight without having, I don't think it's appropriate for us to be discussing this tonight, actually, without having information right in front of us of who the actual owner is and all of that. We voted on this some time ago. Leavenworth has a lot of housing that is owned by people from out of town, and we have to do the best we can. We can't always find the owners. And so when it gets in such bad disrepair, we have to tear it down. I don't think I have enough information to discuss this tonight, but I've already made a decision on it, and I would stand by that.
Thank you. Commissioner Leonhard.
Commissioner Leonhard, yeah, I stand by the decision that we made.
Okay. All right, thank you. So, and I stand by the decision we made too, as I think I mentioned before. So we, that's where we stand. I allowed some input here as far as this, but really, did not have to do that with respect to it not being on the agenda, but we have made no changes to what we decided on the 22nd of September with respect to 934 Ottawa. 934 Ottawa. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I relocated here, sir, for that purpose, and if I start working on the house and try to finish everything I promised to do, is that going to be a problem?
That's
your problem.
That's for you to make a decision on, but right now...
Would that make any difference on your part?
We are proceeding with the demolition of 934 Ottawa based on a decision that we made a month ago, and which some of the details of which Commissioner Preisinger outlined about 5 minutes ago.
Yes, sir. If I come back in with photos and show you that I did, because I got the material, I already bought everything already. I bought the sprayer. There's nothing else I can do with it. I can't go back to Vegas with my tail between my legs, or whatever that's called. And so I'm here, and I have to do something, and I can't see myself relocating because I moved out from there to here.
Where have you been living since?
Specific reason.
Where have you been living since July?
4704 Gretel Circle in Las Vegas. And then
So you came back tonight for this meeting?
Back and forth. I've been going back and forth because I was trying to fix everything. And now I decided I was moving out here, and then I didn't know this. I thought Tina was getting an extension. I had no idea that she did.
Sir, listen, we've got your input. We've made a decision, and appreciate you coming.
I didn't come here for that. I came here and I bought the materials, and I was working on the house. Is what I'm saying. I was working on the house, and so I spent a lot of my money to get that house fixed. I did the landscaping. I had somebody come there and help me with the landscaping. I went on the inside of the house. I did a lot of work. I thought Tina had everything else covered, but I don't understand why she did that. Why she didn't put it under my name, and then I tried to call for electricity, and I was like, whoa, this is not normal. What are you doing?
You have a civil action possibly you need to take up with
No, I just wanted to know.
someone else, not us, and we need to move on.
I just wanted to know if I could continue what I finished,
I think the mayor answered your question.
But if I come here and show you pictures, will that make any difference to you?
No, probably not at this point, so.
But probably not as maybe. Okay, so I can do the work and then I'll come back and show you pictures.
No, the answer is no.
Mr. Mayor.
We have stuck with our decision that we made on the 22nd of September, which is to proceed with demolition of 934 Ottawa.
What do you have to lose if I did everything you asked me to do on my own?
Okay.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't understand that. I mean,
Okay. I understand.
I'm sorry, man. I'm really sorry, man.
Come on.
I didn't realize what I was doing, sir, I'm sorry.
No, we've given you plenty of time. We understand where you were coming from, and we've evaluated that, and we've made a decision, sir.
Yes, sir. Is there anything I can do after that? Is there anything I can do, or is that it?
That's it.
Okay, I'll call my brother. Thank you. I'm sorry, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome, Mr. Heaven.
Mr. Mayor, I think maybe I should have taken your recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, might I request a 5-minute break?
Yes.
Yeah.
I need to reset the camera.
Do we need to
Reset the
make
cameras
a
and some
motion
stuff.
on a 5-minute break, or?
No, you just
No,
you
just
just
put it-
you
Just
can
return to 5 minutes.
You just
Recess
gamble
for
and say
5 minutes.
5-minute break, 5-minute break. This is consideration to adopt a redevelopment project plan, Price Chopper TIF. Can I have a motion to open a public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to open a public hearing. We're gonna go around the horn, and we're gonna begin with Commissioner Leonhard.
She's off right now.
Not back yet. Okay.
Oh, there she is.
There she is. Okay, we have a motion and a second to open a public hearing. We're gonna start the voting with Commissioner Leonhard.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0. So we are now in a public hearing. Staff and public comments. Mr. Kramer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commission. Paul Kramer, City Manager here. Tonight, we have 5 items related to the Price Chopper redevelopment project. We're going to hit the first 2 items, number 9 and 10, and then we will come back under bids, contracts, and agreements and go through a couple other ones related to the Price Chopper project. I'm going to attempt to walk the commission through what we're doing tonight. This is about halfway through the process of the Price Chopper plan item-wise, but nearing the end time-wise. So going back just briefly, on August 11th, 2020, the City Commission adopted Ordinance 8135, which established the Price Chopper Redevelopment District. Within that redevelopment district, Price Chopper then came back with what is called a redevelopment project plan. The project plan was found to be consistent with the city's comp plan at the September 24th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting. The project plan is before the commission tonight for first consideration in a public hearing. And briefly, I'm going to go through what the project plan contains and talk about how it relates to one other item tonight that's of particular importance, and that is the overall development agreement between the city and supermarket developers. The project plan has 6 pieces: a feasibility study, a reference to the district plan that's going to be established, which was the Price Chopper Redevelopment District, a description and map of the redevelopment project, a relocation plan, if applicable, which is not in this case, a detailed description of the buildings and facilities proposed to be constructed or improved in such area, and any other information the governing body deems necessary to advise the public of the project. What I wanted to hit on briefly on this item was the feasibility study. The feasibility study assumes and outlines revenues and outlines project costs to determine the level of reimbursement to the developer from eligible incentives, TIF incentives. The plan is about transparency and that all assumptions are included in the document. Exhibit C outlines in detail the financials of the project. The numbers are reviewed and vetted by the city's financial advisor and city staff, and the entire project is reviewed by the city attorney. Both tax revenue projections and cost estimates go through that review process by the city staff and the city team. The parameters of, and the caps, as we like to refer to them, or the payout, is all governed by the development agreement, all superseded by the development agreement. The feasibility study simply shows what the overall financial picture of the project will be with the incentives created with the TIF and the CID. So the project plan is before you. I'm going to turn this over to Pete Heaven with Supermarket Developers to see if he has any more comments on that. But again, the plan was reviewed by the Planning Commission at the September 24th meeting and found to be consistent with the city's comp plan.
Hello, Mr. Heaven. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the commission. My name is Pete Heaven. I'm with the law firm of Spencer Fain, and my address is 6201 College Boulevard in Overland Park. It's a pleasure to be here tonight.
Thank you for coming.
And special thanks tonight go to Paul and David, Taylor, Carla. Everyone has worked very hard on this project, and it's going to be a good one. As the commission knows, this project is about a $12.5 million project. It will renovate the Price Chopper at 4th and Marion. And when we're finished, it's going to be one of our flagship stores. It'll be the most modern Price Chopper we offer in Mid-America. We're going to not only do new offerings, it's going to be virtually a brand new store. In fact, when you look at construction costs, we're spending 5 times more than the property's worth today renovating it. So it'll give you some perspective. The two things that won't change, though, we're still going to have the best groceries in town and the friendliest employees in town. So with that, I'll answer any questions. We've kind of gone through this several times, but if you have any specific questions, I'm here to answer them.
What do we, I mean, I know there has to be, you know, we're going to address this redevelopment project in different form and fashion over the kind of some multiple agenda items, but I mean, assuming that we proceed, what are we looking at as far as a time that this project would start? Sometime in 2021, obviously, right?
No, actually, we've already ordered all of the equipment.
Okay.
We've started some of the work, and everything will now be finished by April.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Are you going to be shut down between November 15th and Christmas? I mean,
No.
the heaviest time, grocery time of the year?
No, store will remain open during renovation.
100% open.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember that from previous meetings we've had on this particular subject. Any questions or comments from commissioners for Mr. Heaven?
I have one more, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Heaven, I have seen some of the engineering drawings and blueprints, and which really, I don't want to say are not of interest to me, but can you, just for the public that's listening and for us, tell us some of the changes, or is that still proprietary information?
No, and in fact, Joel Riggs with Supermarket Developers should be online. Joel, can you address that question?
Yeah, Pete, I'm online. Commissioners, thank you very much for having us this evening. I appreciate the opportunity. We are completely renovating the interior of the store. We're doing improvements to the exterior, creating a new elevation. It's going to be a new look on the outside of the store, improvements to the parking lot. As Pete said, it's pretty much a full renovation. We're staying within the 4 walls, but other than that, it's going to have basically an entire new look, new shelving, new floors, new equipment. It's going to be a brand new looking grocery store when we're done. Really, the only things that aren't being renovated, the roof is relatively new. It's not being done, but the parking lot will on the outside, lighting on the outside, LED lighting will be added, both interior and exterior. The exterior of the building will look completely different, and the interior obviously will look different as well. So it's a full remodel. If you've seen any of the Price Choppers that we've remodeled here in the last 5 years, it's very similar to that.
Okay. And assuming that the commission gives its approval not only tonight to all the agenda items dealing with this redevelopment project, but if there's any additional things that we have to approve, understand that certain equipment maybe and materials have been ordered, but when would you expect the renovation, the actual work to begin?
We're working with the general contractor that's been selected to do the work, to go through final permit evaluations and final work. We will start in the absolute latest, the beginning of December.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from commissioners to Mr. Heaven or Mr. Riggs?
No question, just comment. I'm
Go ahead.
really excited to see this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowder. Anything, Commissioner Wilson, any comments?
Thank you. Excited as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Leonhard?
Yeah, Commissioner Leonhard, yeah, I'm excited as well. I do have one question. So, evidently you're keeping all the departments. Are you going to rearrange them within the store, or they'll be still in their same places?
For the most part, everything's going to remain in the same spot. We are going to be moving a few things around to improve the layout and make it an easier way to shop the store. But yeah, for the most part, it will remain the same.
Okay. Anything? Thank you. Commissioner Preisinger?
Mr. Riggs, Mr. Heaven, just want to make a remark. I know you first opened that store in 91, I believe, 90 or 91.
Correct.
I just moved back into town from overseas, and I have a lot of association and business with people in developing countries of the world. Whenever they'd come to visit, I always took them to Price Chopper those first 3 or 4 years, and they were just amazed at the size and the complexity and the beauty of such a store. I mean, they just can't believe how much food was available in America. But now over 30 years, it's time to update it, and I look forward to the time that I can bring some people from overseas in and say, come and look at this grocery store. And the reality is, throughout the world, grocery stores have moved up quite a bit, but it was the talk of the town in 91, the early 90s. So, and I hope it,
it will be again.
Good. Good. Thank you. Okay. Good. No, I just, I don't have any further questions for Mr. Heaven or Mr. Riggs. Good rundown. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Mr.
I was gonna say, do we open it up for anybody else?
See
anybody, but I wanna make sure that opportunity is.
Yeah, is there anybody, doesn't look, but is there anybody in the audience that would like to comment on this particular agenda item? None, seeing none, I think we are gonna proceed. I'll entertain a motion on closing the public hearing.
So moved.
Second, Bowder.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Wilson.
That was consensus, isn't it?
Oh, no, not yet. Right, we're
closing it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
This time you messed up, not me. Commissioner Wilson, yay?
Oh, yes.
Okay, Commissioner Bowder?
This is close the meeting, right?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowder? All right.
That was my fault.
Commissioner Bowder was a yes, I believe. Commissioner Leonhard?
Yes.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye, so ayes have it, 5-0. So we've closed the public hearing. Now, next is the first consideration, which we'll need a consensus on, and this is for the ordinance, where we're adopting a redevelopment project plan for a redevelopment project area within an established redevelopment district in the city. Price Chopper TIF. So, anything else, Mr. Kramer, on this?
No, sir.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and see if we have a consensus to on this to adopt this from the standpoint of setting it up for a second consideration and final adoption. So Commissioner Leonhard, do we have your consensus to move forward with this?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Bowder?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Yes.
And I, as the mayor, say yes, we'll move forward. So we will move forward to the next step, which will be second consideration, which will come at a future meeting, maybe in 2 weeks or?
November 10th.
November 10th. Okay, good. All right, thank you. We are going to go to the next agenda item, and it's consideration, consider creation of a community improvement district, a CID, for a Price Chopper. And we'll have to begin this with another public hearing, so I will entertain a motion on opening up public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to open a public hearing. We're gonna go around the horn, and we're gonna begin with Commissioner, Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. So we're now in a public hearing for this particular agenda item. Mr. Kramer?
Mr. Mayor and Commission, as part of the redevelopment of the Price Chopper project, as Mr. Heaven mentioned, a $12.3 million project. Supermarket Developers, Inc. have requested a community improvement district, which is a special tax levy within the district. They have requested one of 0.4 of a cent sales tax. The CID statute includes not more than 22 years. However, the city and supermarket developers have agreed on finer parameters that are included in the development agreement. So we'll get to that when we get to the development agreement. But you are just putting this on second consideration, so you're not approving it tonight. You will know the terms of that when we get to the development item agreement. So that is before you tonight to consider the CID, creating the CID for this project.
And just very quickly, how does that 0.40% work?
It is a sales tax that's included on purchases at within the district.
Within the district, and the district is the same boundaries as the TIF and the entire Price Chopper site.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments and do we need any input from Mr. Heaven or Mr. Riggs on this one, or?
I don't believe so.
Probably not.
Quick question.
Yep.
0.4%, and what do they need to hit? They're gonna keep that for 22 years or until they hit 12 million?
No, in the development agreement, we do cap the CID revenue at approximately 1.5, and that's included in the development agreement, which we're also considering
so
tonight.
the 0.4, once it hits $1.5 million.
Well, there's a specific number.
Approximately.
Yeah, but we'll cover that in the development agreement, that it does have a total cap not to exceed.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could say, I mean, both of these ordinances, the TIF and the CID, they are made subject to the terms of the development agreement. But for purposes of approving the CID and the financing, you approve it per the terms of what the statute requires. And then we also have it subject to the development agreement where we have the limitations of public assistance caps and such, which we'll get to in the development agreement.
Okay.
All right, any other questions or comments for the city manager or the city attorney? If not, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second, Bowder.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Leonhard.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0. The motion carries, so we've closed the public hearing. And so what we have now is first consideration for this ordinance, which is ordinance of the city of Leavenworth, Kansas, creating a community improvement district in the city, Price Chopper CID, authorizing the making of certain project improvements relating thereto, approving the estimated cost of such project improvements, and providing for the method of financing the same. So we have to get a consensus, and we'll begin with Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bowder?
Yes.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Yes.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Yes.
And I, as the mayor, say yes. So we've got a consensus to move forward to second consideration on this ordinance, and that, I guess, will be on the 10th of November also?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a suggestion? We have Mr. Heaven here tonight and also Joel Riggs. I would ask the commission to make a motion to move items 14 and 15 up on the agenda to take up now. We have 3 rather lengthy items between us and Mr. Heaven being able to head home. So if we could move 14 and 15 up.
You're too kind, thank you.
Can you make that motion?
Do you need a motion? Just move.
Under city code, it needs to be by the vote of the governing body.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we move items number 14 and 15 to replace items 11 and 12 on the agenda. To switch the sequence. Switch the sequence.
Sure. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. There's a motion and a second to adjust the sequence of the agenda items to move 14 and 15 in front of agenda item 11. We're going to go around the horn, and so I'll start with Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And aye is the mayor vote aye, so that's 5-0, the ayes have it. So we've been able to make that change in the sequence of agenda items, so we will, this will be agenda item 14, I believe. Consider amendment to 1994 City and Price Chopper lease agreement, is that correct, Mr.?
Yeah, we'll start with that one and then get to the development agreement. Mr. Mayor and Commission, in 1994, the city partnered or entered into a lease agreement with what was then 4B Corp. For a parking, essentially a parking lot lease of city-owned property directly adjacent to the north side of where the Price Chopper building is now. Supermarket developers have assumed control of this project and will like that lease assigned to them. All contracts usually have an assignment clause where any assignment which is changing of the partners of the signatories of the party or the agreement have to come before or have to be given by approval. In this case, we're asking for the City Commission to approve that we assign the lease from 4B Corp. To supermarket developers for the parking lot lease on the city property directly adjacent to the north side of the Price Chopper building, if that makes sense.
David Waters, City Attorney, I just add, this does not change the terms of the underlying lease in any way other than the name of the tenant is updated to reflect the new entity that controls the site.
Okay. Any questions or comments for the city manager or the city attorney on this particular agenda item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we provide consent for the assignment of the attached property lease on the north side of the current Price Chopper from previous owners or leasees, 4B Corp. Transferred to Supermarket Developers LLC.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Leonhard, second.
There's a motion and a second on this particular agenda item. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Leonhard.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson? Commissioner Wilson? Is that good enough?
Yeah.
You should state for the record that.
State for the record that I got a thumbs up from Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And aye is the mayor vote aye. The ayes have it. Vote is 5-0. Motion carries. So this particular agenda item is approved. The next is consider supermarket developers Price Chopper development agreement.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, I'm happy tonight to bring to you what we believe is the final development agreement between the City of Leavenworth and Supermarket Developers LLC for the project that we have been talking about. A development agreement is a key document in that it ties everything together. It outlines the steps taken and the processes to reach a mutually beneficial development. It defines terms related to financial parameters, representations, conditions, and responsibilities of the parties. And it outlines the city's payment obligations as well as the city's right to inspect and audit project costs. Those are just some of the key items that are of note in a development agreement. In particular, I wanted to draw the Commission's attention to a couple aspects of the development agreement that are usually of particular interest. I'd like to note, and you don't have to go there, but on page 10, the project outlines that this is a pay-as-you-go financing project. There's no city general fund obligations, no city debt issued, and the reimbursed incentives are by revenue generated from the project itself. I'd also like to talk about incentive levels. Commissioner Preisinger mentioned these, and mentioned that using vetted pro forma financial information submitted by, at the time, AWG in Supermarket Developers as the baseline, city staff proposed caps and limitations on the various incentives, and all incentives for the projects, again, are pay-as-you-go. The agreements or the caps suggested and proposed by the city were accepted by Supermarket Developers LLC and are as follows. The CID funding cap for the project is proposed at $1,566,296. The cap is based on AWG's revenue projections submitted prior to the negotiation, so we held them to what they submitted in the pro forma at the early part, and they agreed on those numbers. The TIF funding cap for the project is proposed at $2,559,000. The cap is also based on AWG's project cost projections submitted prior to the negotiation of the development agreement. As you can see by those numbers, that is far short of the total $12.3 million project, but was numbers that we agreed to with the development team and believed were fair based on vetted pro forma data. All collected funds from the city will be remitted quarterly and require paid invoices for eligible project costs. Those eligible project costs are outlined in the development agreement and summarized in Exhibit C. The next part that always comes up with incentives is what are the benchmarks? When is the developer eligible to start receiving these funds that the governing body has used their authority to create? This project, as we've heard in the summary earlier, does not include what we typically see from new construction, ground-up construction, which typically provides standard benchmarks related to permits, foundation, certificate of occupancy, etc. In order to ensure that the entirety of the project was completed before the developer would be able to access the incentive reimbursement, the development agreement requires both full completion and a time frame by which the completion must be met to access the incentives. Specifically, the developer must achieve substantial completion of the project and the developer work within 18 calendar months after the effective date of the agreement, subject only to excusable delays. The developer acknowledges and agrees that the developer shall not be entitled to receive reimbursement for any project costs until substantial completion of the entire project has been achieved. Substantial completion is defined, but it essentially is the definable portion in the construction contract documents that have been used throughout this project. If the development performs well, it would be expected that the incentive tools would end before their statutory limits, those are the highlights of the development agreement. I would like to extend, it has been a wonderful relationship with Pete, Joel, the entire Supermarket Developers LLC team, to come to what we believe is a fair and mutually beneficial development agreement between the city and Supermarket Developers LLC. And I'd leave it open if Mr. Waters had any comments I missed, or Mr. Heaven or Mr. Riggs has any comments about the development agreement.
None at this time, Mr. Kramer.
Mr. Heaven?
Mayor and Commission, I'd like to make two very brief comments, in addition to thanking the staff again. And for the record, Pete Heaven, represent Supermarket Developers. One of the beauties to this development agreement for both sides is we agreed on a cap for the CID and the TIF. And we use very, very conservative numbers in coming up with our projections. And we believe we will have met those caps long before the statutory 20 or 22 years. So it's probably going to be closer to 10, I would guess, because we've been very conservative. And then the second comment I'll make, the city attorney in me is coming out. My city councils always say, well, what happens if they don't operate a grocery store? What do we do then? We built into this agreement that we will no longer be entitled to reimbursements, and we'll forfeit any future revenue from the project. So you do have that assurance from us that we will be a supermarket, but if some reason we were not, we wouldn't be giving you what you bargained for, and we don't deserve to get what we bargained for.
Okay.
Those are my comments.
All right, thank you for those comments, Mr. Heaven. Mr. Riggs? Oh, go ahead. Mr. Riggs, do you have anything, sir?
I have nothing to add other than I want to say thank you to the city commission, city staff, and David Waters. I'm involved in 5 or 6 of these applications a year, given the nature of what we do, doing supermarkets all around the country.
Sure.
And this has been a very professional approach to this project, and I just want to say thank you. It's much appreciated from our standpoint. We see a lot of stuff in our business, and we do appreciate the support from the city to make sure that we can give you guys a world-class grocery store. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your feedback, Mr. Riggs. Mr. Kramer?
Yeah, Mr. Waters asked me to clarify one thing, and the numbers that I gave you, the total is correct. There's a total public assistance cap of $4,125,296. The agreement does give supermarket developers a little flexibility on they could collect a little bit more in one or a little bit less in another one should certain sources come in lower or higher, but that is the total cap, and that is reflected by the numbers that I mentioned before.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. There's a total cap and then a CID cap in part of that. But if the developer, if Price Chopper wanted to take more from the TIF, what that would end up doing is just reducing then down the amount they could claim from the CID. But there's not itself a TIF cap other than the total cap of them all.
I understand. Any other comments or questions for the city manager or the city attorney from commissioners before I ask for a motion?
Well, Mr. Mayor, CID is the 0.4% sales tax.
Correct.
And for that, in 22 years, you hope to raise $1,566,000. Right. That represents $391 million going through the cash registers. Mm-hmm. So, just so everyone knows, that's a lot of money going through the grocery stores. And I sure hope that you make it faster in 22 years, because that means business is good and people are eating well. Yeah. Okay. Now, the TIF funding, that's, for example, and I'm grabbing numbers here, I have no idea. Let's say your current real estate taxes on that property is $200,000. And then let's say it goes up to with the renovations, the new appraisal and the assessments, it goes from $200,000 to $300,000. That extra $100,000, you maintain that $200,000, it goes to the city, the county, and the school district. Correct. But the extra $100,000 gets reinvested. And so, based on 20 years, $2,560,000, we're looking at about $127,000 a year in incremental increase. Are we expecting that much?
So there are two aspects to the TIF. There's the increment in the property taxes, and there's also an increment in the general 2% sales tax of the city as well.
I missed that then.
So in addition to the additional CID sales tax, the developer would be entitled to, if they have, just to keep the math straight, if there's $1 million in sales right now that's generating this level of sales tax for the city, and they do whatever the higher is, that new increment is not CID sales tax, that's TIF increment, sales tax increment, that can go to the development. So this contemplates both the property tax side and that sales tax side as well. So that's where some of those numbers could be as well.
Okay, thank you. That's good clarification. That's a good rundown, because they are different, and I do appreciate that explanation, because it can get a little confusing. So any other questions or comments before I ask for a motion on this agenda item? I'll entertain a motion then.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the Supermarket Developers Development Agreement as presented.
Second, Bowder.
There's a motion and a second on this particular agenda item. And we are going to go to begin the voting with Commissioner Leonhard.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson? Okay. Okay. I indicate that Commissioner Wilson has given me a thumbs up, his thumbs up. Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0.
Are you on mute, Commissioner Wilson? Because we're not hearing you.
It doesn't seem to be working.
Okay.
The motion carries, so we've approved the development agreement between the city and supermarket developers. And that's very, very good news, and look forward to this important project, and want to thank Mr. Heaven and Mr. Riggs for participating in our meeting this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Heaven, it's getting late, and we have nice hotels here, so you're welcome.
I think I can make it home.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Mr. Riggs. Thank you. So we're going to go back up to what was agenda item 11, which is Resolution B 2267, adopting the 2020 Stormwater Management Program. Mr.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Commission, I'll turn this over to our Public Works Director, Mike McDonald.
Okay. Hello, Mr. McDonald.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. This agenda item is to ask that the City Commission approve the Stormwater Management Program for our KDHE Stormwater Permit. The permit for operating the stormwater system, which is essentially the creeks and streams and the underground pipes associated with them, is a permit that began being issued by the federal government for larger cities back into the 70s and 80s. However, small cities such as ourselves came under the rulings in the early 2000s. This is a permit that replaces an existing permit, and at the end of the day, essentially what we're asking the City Commission to approve is a list of activities that are essentially what we're already doing. There are 6 areas of focus that the EPA and KDHE dictate that we follow. Everything from public education to inspecting construction sites for runoff control with good erosion control. We've reviewed this with the commission at several meetings, and we did have a public information meeting at the community center. And based on the input from the meetings that we have had, there are no changes proposed in the plan that we have reviewed with the commission in the past. Each of the minimum control measures has a listing of several activities that can be done to meet the water quality control. We identified several of them within the plan, and each has a number of points associated with it. We selected activities that we are essentially already doing and identified them for points that should result in us achieving approximately 2 to 3 times the minimum number of points that are required to meet the terms of the permit. As we've noted before, even though we're not required to do more than the permit requires, the state also doesn't want us to stop doing things that we already do. So we fully expect to essentially continue business as usual with a different set of forms to fill out for our annual report. It is worth noting that as we move forward in 2021 and further, we may be bringing back pieces of this plan for the commission to review our actions and discuss proposed guidelines for some of these activities. So this is not the last you will see of the stormwater management program. It is required that we submit a document that has been approved by the city to the state in February of 2021 as part of our annual report. And if this is approved this evening, then we will make it that document and submit it along with our annual report as we normally do. Within the policy report, or following the policy report, there's copies, I believe, of the current or the proposed stormwater management plan, which is some background in history of flooding in Leavenworth. It identifies the activities that we are planning to undertake with a brief description of them. And there are links to the current state permit that we have and several other types of things that many find interesting. I will be happy to answer questions that you have and ask that you do adopt a resolution regarding the stormwater management program.
Mr. McDonald, this is Mayor Griswold. So assuming if we do this, adopting the 2020 stormwater management program, that is to replace the 2016 stormwater management program. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. But there's continuity between that plan and this one, correct? I mean, I like the policy report. I see the similarities to what you've briefed in the past over the last 2 or 3 years. So from that standpoint, I was able to get through this pretty quickly. But is that a fair assessment of this particular stormwater management program, the new one?
Yes, sir. It's very similar to what we have been doing. I believe we do more than almost any community of our size in the state of Kansas. And we look forward to basically continuing on with our good work.
Okay, very good. From my fellow commissioners, any comments or questions for Mr. McDonald? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt Resolution B 2267, the 2020 Stormwater Management Program.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Good, thank you, Commissioner Wilson. I heard your, good. So there's a motion and a second on this particular agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. Motion and a second on this particular agenda item, which is, to, consider resolution 2267. We are gonna begin voting with Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0. So we've adopted the 2020 Stormwater Management Program, Resolution B 2267. Thank you, Mr. McDonald. The next is Resolution B 2268, adopting the Manual of Infrastructure Standards.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, just last week in this room, at the City Commission study session, the Commission reviewed in depth with staff a draft document which outlines design expectations for infrastructure within the city. This is a bit of a new project for city, and it has gone through numerous public meetings with developers, review by contractors, and creation primarily by Mike Hooper, our Deputy Public Works Director, and Mike McDonald, our Public Works Director. There have been no changes since you saw it last week. As a reminder, this is a living document. We plan to review it constantly and probably bring it to the Commission close to yearly for any updates as we see fit. But the item is before you tonight to pass a resolution to adopt the City of Leavenworth Manual of Infrastructure Standards.
Okay, any, Mr. McDonald, does Mr. McDonald need to say anything, Mr. Kramer?
Mike, do you have anything to add?
I have nothing to add, sir. I will answer questions. Mike Cooper is on the meeting also if you have questions of him.
Questions or comments for Mr. McDonald or Mr. Hooper from our commissioners? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt Resolution B 2268, the Manual of Infrastructure Standards.
Is there a second? Okay, there's a motion and a second on this particular agenda item. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Leonhard.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson? Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0. The motion carries. So we've approved, we've adopted the Manual of Infrastructure Standards, and that's Resolution B 2268. Thank you. Next agenda item is Resolution B 2269, adopting the revised investment policy.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, also at last week's City Commission meeting, the city staff reviewed in depth the city's revised or new investment policy. Our finance director highlighted the changes, specifically the CDARS type of investments that were included in this policy report and in our investment policy. There have been no changes since last week's review, and the item is before you tonight for adoption.
Okay. Any questions or comments for the city manager on this revised investment policy that we discussed last week at the study session? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Mr.
Mayor, I move that we adopt Resolution B 2269, the revised investment policy.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on this particular agenda item. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger? Aye. And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0. Motion carries. So we've adopted the revised investment policy for the city, Resolution B 2269. Thank you. First consideration ordinances. The first one is special use. No, hold on a minute.
Number 16.
16. I'm sorry. Consider purchase of remote control mower, Parks and Recreation. I'm sorry, I got a little ahead of myself.
No problem. We moved a lot of things around on you tonight. Mr. Mayor and Commission, I'm going to turn this over to Brian Bailey, our Parks Superintendent, to go over this new potential addition to the city's toolkit.
All right. Hello, Mr. Bailey.
Hello. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I bring before you request for a remote-controlled mower. The Parks and Rec Department, along with the Stormwater Operations Department of the Sewer Fund, is requesting the approval of a TK-60XP track 60-inch rotary mower, manufactured to our specifications and purchasing through the cooperative purchasing program set forth by the Finance Department. Over the years, the Parks Department and the Stormwater Operations Department have attempted to mow various parks that are extremely dangerous, steep hills, inclines, marshy wetland areas, retention ponds, and so forth, that are very difficult to mow for our crews and contractors. Some of these hills, such as South Esplanade Park, are very steep. Contractors have trouble mowing up. We don't mow it ourselves, and so forth. And we've had problems with mowers rolling down the hills over the years, sliding down the hills. It's become a very dangerous park to mow and mow for the contractors. With the TK-60XP remote-controlled remote mower, this mower is a mower that is on tracks that a person can stand on top of the hill or on the dry side of the retention pond and mow with. It goes through marshes very well and easy. We demoed this mower over at Eagles Park Retention Pond, and also at South Esplanade Park. This mower is able to mow 50-degree hills and across marshy wet areas. Some examples of these areas are South Esplanade Park, Cody Park Creek Bank, close to the playground there. The Centennial Bridge abutment. So along Centennial Bridge there, we can keep that mowed down nice. And then Eagles Park Retention Pond and 16th Street in Thornton. Yep. So those are a few of the examples that we'd be able to mow safely with and keep maintained with the wet conditions there. After reviewing purchasing options, staff selected the HGAC Buy Cooperative Purchasing Program. This program is used throughout the country and throughout the Kansas region. Staff has developed a set of specifications for the slope mower that will keep the staff safe, which is our top priority as our department and the city. The new mower will be equipped with the ability to perform all aspects of maintenance required by the Parks Department and the Stormwater Operation Department. The slope mower on the HGAC Buy Cooperative bid meets the requirements of the track 60-inch rotary mower in the amount of $58,989, with key equipment and supply in Kansas City being the local dealer. Staff recommends purchase of one TK-60XP track 60-inch rotary mower in the amount of $58,989 from HGAC by contract GR20AA-F1. The budget impact of this mower, half of it will come out of the CIP sales tax, and the other half will come out of the sewer fund to pay for this mower.
Sure. Okay. That's a good rundown. If the commission approves this agenda item, how long will it take to get the equipment?
It'll be a pretty quick turnaround. We'll have it before spring.
Okay.
And
sure,
it'll be ready for use as soon as spring starts.
Yeah, it's an interesting piece of equipment.
Yeah.
With the tracks and everything. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Bailey?
Mr. Bailey, I know that you had a demonstration in the Eagles Retention Pond.
Yeah.
That's probably only a 10 or 15 degree grade. Do we have anything at 50 degrees? 50 degrees is...
Well, the Centennial Bridge embutment there is pretty close to 50 degrees.
Really?
It's a very steep incline.
Okay.
And then South Esplanade is probably going to be the next steepest incline that we have. With the Eagles retention pond, it's not so much the incline, it's so marshy, we don't have really a piece of equipment that can go across it unless it's extremely, extremely dry, or we've had cold weather for 2 or 3 weeks where it's frozen solid to mow across there.
Okay, well, it'll be fun to watch it in action.
It's neat, you can, it's like driving a little remote control car.
Yeah.
So once we get this piece of equipment, will city employees operate it, or will it be the contractors, or?
No, it'll be city employees. It's very easy to learn.
Okay.
You start the engine and mow and run it all from the remote control.
That's good, okay, good rundown. Any other questions or comments from Mr. Bailey? Commissioner Bowder?
Said half of this comes out of the sales tax and half comes out of the sewer fund?
Correct.
Which sewer fund?
CIP,
Yeah, so the CIP sales tax and then the sewer fund is your your wastewater. There'll be numerous uses too for wastewater that we'll continue to do through a lot of the projects we've done. So that's where half of the fund will come from.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you.
And wastewater, not stormwater.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
The wastewater fund, not the stormwater.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we purchase the one TK 60XP 60-inch rotary mower in the amount of $58,989 from HGAC by contract number GR20AAF1.
Do we have a second?
Wilson, I second.
Okay, motion and a second on this particular agenda item. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Leonhard.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson? Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0, motion carries. So we've approved the purchase of this remote control mower for Parks and Recreation in the city. Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. The next is under first consideration ordinances, and this is an ordinance, first consideration order, special use permit, 611 Miami, two-family dwelling in R16 single-family residential zone. Ms. Hurley?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you said, this is a request for a special use permit to allow a two-family dwelling in the R16 zoning district located at 611 Miami Street. Two-family dwellings are allowed in the R16 zoning district with issuance of a special use permit. This is currently a single-family home that the property owner is renovating into a duplex to allow two families to live there. The Planning Commission did review this at their October 5th meeting and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the special use permit. Staff did not receive any comments from residents that were notified within the 200-foot radius as we're required to do by statute. Just kind of a note, you've probably noticed that we've had a number of requests for duplexes and single-family zoning districts lately. Part of that is due in part to changes in lending laws. So for existing duplexes, the lending laws have changed and that they need to be conforming before they can get financing on those. And then some like these where they're renovating and getting a new two-family dwelling unit, that's probably due in part to just a change in demand for type of housing units. So we will be taking a look at what types of housing are appropriate in what places as part of our comp plan, and then we'll be looking at our development regulations in our next update and making sure that we're appropriately addressing these types of uses. So for now, we just have to take care of these through special use permit. And again, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this. And if you have any questions, I can answer those for you.
Any questions or comments for Ms. Hurley from commissioners? Commissioner Bowder?
Yeah. Are there, I couldn't tell from this, are there other multifamily properties in this neighborhood?
I don't believe there are on this specific block, but as with most areas in Leavenworth, there are multifamily units scattered throughout the neighborhood, but there are not any others on this particular block that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. Any other comments or questions from fellow commissioners on this agenda item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Consensus.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. It's consensus. So we need to have a consensus on this particular item so we can hopefully reach a consensus to take it to second consideration. So we will begin with Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Bowder?
Yes.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Yes.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Yes.
And I, as the mayor, say yes, so we will move it on to second consideration on the special use permit. Thank you. Next is first consideration, ordinance industrial revenue bonds, Price Chopper.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, as I mentioned, there were 5 total items on Price Chopper. This is the 5th and final one. The industrial revenue bond process is not tied into the development agreement. It is a sort of an isolated use for Price Chopper of the city's sales tax exemption and purchase of materials. So they are able to not pay state or local sales tax on purchase of certain eligible materials. That's the industrial revenue process. So the item is before you. If you have specific questions on the industrial revenue process, Mr. Waters, I would direct those to Mr. Waters. But it's before you tonight for first consideration ordinance.
Mr. Waters?
I'm just asking, I was gonna.
Yeah, any questions or comments for Mr. Waters as far as this particular agenda item? Okay, all right, so we need to get a consensus on this agenda item, so we're gonna begin, with Commissioner, Leonhard, or what, in terms of considering this first consideration so we can take it, hopefully, take it to a second consideration in the near future. Commissioner Leonhard?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowder?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Yes.
And I, as the mayor, say yes, so we'll move it along to second consideration, which is the taxable industrial revenue bonds, supermarket developers, and this is for the Price Chopper development project. Okay, next, I think we have the consent agenda. So for the consent agenda, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Leonhard.
Commissioner Leonhard, I move to approve claims for October 10th, 2020 through October 23rd, 2020 in the amount of $542,991.35. Net amount for payroll number 22, effective October 23rd, 2020 in the amount of $350,090.87. Includes police and fire pension in the amount of $11,839.36.
Second.
Motion and a second on the consent agenda. We are going to begin voting with Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonhard?
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote ayes. The ayes have it, 5-0. So we've approved the consent agenda for this evening's City Commission meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Leonhard. That brings us, that's the last item on the agenda except for adjournment. So I'm going to ask Mr. Kramer, do you have anything for the City Commission or our citizens?
Just an announcement that we will not have a study session next week on November 3rd.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Wilson, anything for the City Commission or our citizens at this point?
Go and vote.
Good.
Go out.
Very good.
Yeah.
Go out and vote.
That's right. Get out there and vote. Early voting, I think, goes through the noon on the 2nd of November, and then, of course, Election Day is the 3rd of November. So thank you very much. Good reminder. Anything else, Commissioner Wilson?
No, sir, that's
Okay.
it.
Commissioner Leonhard.
Commissioner Leonhard, first I have a question for Mr. Kramer. I was curious, are we still on target on the street maintenance for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so we had milled last week and with plans to overlay at the beginning of this week, the remainder of the project. So there's Mr. McDonald. He's probably more up to date than I am, but I believe that got pushed a couple days. Mike, if you wouldn't mind touching briefly on the final projects related to that, and then quickly on Thornton. Quickly, please.
Yes, sir. Well, we did have snow, but the snow will be gone. The weather this week should be 60 degrees, and we expect to be paving the streets and finishing the pavement of the streets in northeast Leavenworth early, hopefully starting this late this week into Saturday and finishing early next week on County Road 5 headed out of town. Thornton Street, they should be finishing the concrete on Thornton Street this week and paving the remaining asphalt next week. There may be some other bits and pieces of project to do, but we believe we can get it all done by the end of next week.
Okay. Good rundown. Anything else? Anything else, Commissioner Leonhard?
Yes. I just wanted to commend the city staff that helped out on the event we had on Saturday for the trick or treat at Sportsfield. We ended up having 588 children, and I know the city staff had to go get more candy. So that was it was a really nice event. A lot of cute costumes, and it was a pretty pleasant evening. It wasn't too cold.
Correct. Thank you very much.
Also,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Also, I just want to put prayers out to the Jackson family. At the same time, having that nice event on Saturday, they went through some tragedy and lost 2 young lives too quick. So prayers out to them. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Leonhard. So, Commissioner Preisinger.
One, congratulations to Commissioner Bowder. If she got first place in one of the paintings downtown at Sadek's Furniture, looks like a horse in a stall, and just, you know, it amazes me that people can do things like that, and it's a wonderful project, and congratulations for having the best of show, if nothing else.
Yes.
And just real quickly, if Mr. McDonald's still here, is there going to be a grand opening at Thornton like there was on 20th Street when we had one of the traffic officers kind of lead the parade, opening it up?
Well, it had crossed my mind to do something. I don't know what something is, particularly since I have not talked about it with the city manager yet.
Okay. I know people are going to be waiting, you know, it's been a year and a half that it's been down, or however long it's been down. It'd be fun to have a little bit of fanfare. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Bowder.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Preisinger, for your comments. I appreciate that. And I don't have anything else to add tonight. Everybody have a good evening.
Okay.
And get out and vote, like
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson's child said.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowder. I've just got 3 or 4 things. On the trunk or treat, yes, good job, Mr. Grant, with your Parks and Recreation Department and City Manager. Was well planned, well executed, and I'm pretty sure the children had fun, even some of their parents, and it was good to see them all dressed up in their costumes and being able to go to all those stations and do the trunk or treat. So good job, and thank you very much for all the city staff that was responsible for that excellent event. And I do want to reiterate from the standpoint of the mayor and the entire city commission in terms of our condolences to the Jackson family on that tragedy, and thinking about them, keeping them in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you, Commissioner Leonhard, for mentioning that. And then Commissioner Bowder, yes, I add my congratulations to that wonderful mural that you've just completed and were recognized as an awardee. It's fantastic, and it's part of a larger project that I'm very happy that's going on in the downtown to make it an even more attractive downtown of 28 blocks. But thank you and congratulations, Commissioner Bowder. And then finally, Just very quickly, the city manager let the city commissioners know today that, the city received a grant, from the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation, probably part of the state government, isn't it? Is it an agency of the state government? They've completed their application reviews for the 2020 tenant-based rental assistance program, and the city of Leavenworth has been awarded a grant in the amount of $85,000. So that's really, really good news. This should be able to help certain citizens out there, tenants, with their rent and mortgage assistant needs, and I think the $85,000 is a pretty good amount. And over the course of the next week or so, the city manager and his staff, along with probably led by Mr. Levine, who's our rental property coordinator, and his boss, Ms. Hurley, will be looking at how how citizens can apply for this grant. But so more to come, more information to come out to our citizens, but was very happy to hear that, and congratulations to good work, Ms. Hurley, and also Mr. Levine. And I don't think there's anything else, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Bowder.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn this evening's City Commission meeting. We're going to begin voting with Commissioner Leonhard.
Aye.
Commissioner Bowder.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
And I, as the mayor, vote aye. The ayes have it, 5-0, so we are adjourned.